Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2023 Sunoco Minor League Cricket with official partner Laxmi 2023 Player Draft. I'm Aaman Patel, and I'm joined by Nate Hayes, and we're here at Church Street Park to bring you round two of this minor league draft. We had it last year here at Church Street Park, and we saw no rain coming, and it came anyway. This year we're like, oh, the weather's going to be so much better. Unfortunately, my notes, they proved me wrong because the rain came back, but it's still going to be an exciting night. Even though the weather came back with the rain, we came back once again, and we're going to give you the entire breakdown of this entire exciting draft that will set for this league to start in August. I'm joined by Nate Hayes, and he's here to break down how this draft's going to run. Nate?
Aaman, thanks for the intro. Yeah, we learned things the hard way here, and then we decided to learn them all over again. We are going to stick with it, even though it's supposed to rain a little bit. We're confident. So basically, the way that the draft is going to work, I'm going to tell you about the conferences and the divisions and things like that. So there are draft zone teams and there are non-draft zone teams. And wherever in the country, wherever in the league, you're going to see three or more teams together, that's going to be a draft zone. Anytime you see two, sometimes that's a draft zone, sometimes they work it out amongst themselves, and that's the situation we have in the South. But basically, there are two conferences in the league. There's the Atlantic Conference and there's the Pacific Conference. Each of those conferences have two divisions. The Atlantic has the South Division and the East Division, and the Pacific Conference has the West and the Central Division. Inside each of those divisions are draft zones where the players live. They tend to be hubs where a lot of cricket is played, where we get our best domestic players together and the teams draft amongst themselves. And today we're going to start with the East Zone, which is almost entirely a draft zone. The only team in the East that's not in the East draft zone is the New England Eagles. Every other team is going to be subject to the draft. And ahead of the draft, they all had to submit keeper lists, basically the players that they're keeping from last season. There are 3 retained players that they keep that are domestics, plus they pre-negotiate with 3 preferred domestics, and then they have 3 age group players, 2 U21s and 1 U19. So that means that they head into the draft with ideally 9 players on their roster already, sometimes also with a wild card player assigned, but they don't have to choose those yet. And so you can head into the draft with basically 9 players. Every team comes into the draft with 9 players. Some teams choose to share their wild cards, other teams wait. So we're going to see teams fill the rest of those rosters around the retained players, around the pre-negotiated, the domestic preferred players, and around the age group players, and we are going to start today with the East Zone.
Absolutely, and again, it's exciting because we've seen these player movements lead to big things for franchises. Think about the Seattle Thunderbolts. They were able to bring over Akhilesh Bhagwat from the Atlanta sides to go over to Seattle, and he was a key factor in them winning the championship last year. So we're going to get to see all of that and much more throughout the night, and we're going to start with the Eastern Division. That draft started at 5 p.m. and it's featuring the New Jersey Stallions, New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, the Manhattan Yorkers, the Empire State Titans, and the Philadelphians. So those teams are currently making selections around the players that they did not decide to pre-draft and negotiate. So we'll look at those pre-draft rosters in just a sec because I had the chance to talk to Jay Lance, who will fuel our knowledge of this Eastern Division with Sunoco. Let's see what Jay had to say. Welcome back to our minor league draft coverage. And I'm here with someone who reigns in the eastern part of the United States, and who better to talk to about the Eastern Division of the minor league than Jay Hans. Jay, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. We're just going to jump straight in it with the team that won the division for the past 2 seasons, the New Jersey Stallions. This is a team that's been so dominant, so strong, led from the top with their batting, and then the likes of Jesse Singh with the ball in hand. Who are some people to you, or what has this team done to keep that momentum going in this 3rd edition?
Well, I think Stallions have got a couple of changes, especially with the bat. We see Anthony Bramble going out, who played extremely well at the top, along with Dominic Rickey last year. But replacing him, you've got Monank Patel, who I think is an excellent replacement. Keeper for keeper, and Monank, of course, a man who needs no introduction in US cricket. And then along with him, you've also got Bhaskar Yadram replacing Paul Palmer in the side. So I think that's also a nice addition there. Yadram, I'm sure, like anyone at Church Street Park, they'd remember that massive 6 from the first season, ingrained in all our memories. So Yadram as well, I think an excellent addition into the Stallion side, really bolstering that lower order.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I think they've always had some really strong bats, and it just kind of jumps off the page when you see Bhaskar Yadav's name added to this already explosive list. Monik Patel going to be in that top three with Dominic Ricky, and you have to imagine Saitej Mukamala could be promoted back into the opening spot just because of the dominant tear he's been on. 100 in the Uni Cup, you were there for that 100 with USA on tour, and the biggest chase ever in USA cricket history. So they got a lot of options, the depth there, and then we didn't even mention the bowling yet. Stephen Wigg is a part of this lineup. You talk about Sachin Malavarapu, who's maybe the biggest X factor in terms of spin. And then, of course, Jesse Singh, just the pace he's able to bring. This is a team that sure looks to be right back in the thick of it come 2023. But another team that was just there this past year, who had a couple of losses, were the Manhattan Yorkers. Talk to me about what their roster is looking like at the moment.
Well, Manhattan Yorkers, a couple of big losses for them actually going into this year. For one, there's no more Bhaskar Yadav in that side. Same with Christopher Barnwell, Rajdeep Darbar as well. So all three of them not playing. But we have a look at some of the additions they've got. Manoj Acharya, I feel like, is a huge addition into this side because Acharya has bowled extremely well across tournaments for the Stallions, especially, and then after that across the US. So I think with the ball, Acharya, great addition. But with the bat, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the losses of some of their key players.
Yeah, I remember Manoj Jadia was initially a part of the Manhattan Yorkers lineup and then went to the Stallions last season back with the Yorkers. But you mentioned it, with the bat in hand, they're going to really rely on Danish Patel, their under 21, who really stepped up for him last year. Kind of came out of nowhere. No one really was talking about this kid and had a couple of really good innings. Saw him firsthand at Church Street Park, and he was really special to see. I think it's going to be interesting to see as they continue to fill out this roster because I think the bowling is there. They brought back Navijit Kangura or Yash Kangura for most people who know him. Another one of those pace bowlers to go alongside Manoj Acharya. Their under 19s are two spinners, Dhruv Pawar, a left arm spinner, and then Surya Thurumello, the leg spinner, who took 5 wickets in a match last season. So they have some of that bowling pieces there. That, as you mentioned, the batting is going to be the biggest question. A team, though, with a lot of big faces and maybe the biggest addition with the bat, the Philadelphians. They brought in Ryan Scott, and Ryan Scott, someone who has a couple of hundreds in minor league cricket, and he's someone who should be explosive up top the order. What else should we know about the Philadelphians, Jay?
The Philadelphians, Ryan Scott, of course, such a big player at the top. But along with him, you've got Rajdeep Darbar now into the side, Goranshu Sharma as well, a couple of experienced players. But we have a look at a few of the players who are not playing. We've got the likes of Milind Kumar, Jonathan Fu, Syed Abdullah, Derek Narayan, all 4 of them out of the side, and they were key players with the bat. So while you do have a couple of good players coming in, you do also have a few big exits. So it'll be interesting to see how this Philadelphian side comes out. It's a completely new batting order as far as the top order is concerned. And I think it'll be interesting to see if it's able to work for them this season.
Yeah, I think another key loss for them in the bowling department is Janoy Drysdale, someone who really stood out to me, was able to hit a hard length, get the ball to move out, and then get one to just straighten back in. We'll see if they're able to fill him back into that domestic slot, but at the moment, not in that initial squad. So I'll be curious to see if Janoy Drysdale finds his way back to the side. And then you have the other half of this division that kind of just wasn't really in the race, had a couple of lucky starts to that for their season, up a couple unlucky losses, but just weren't able to really get on the right foot in 2022. No more so than the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, who didn't have the greatest July 4th weekend at Church Street Park, falling in a super over and a couple of last ball finishes. What about their squad sticks out to you?
Well, for one, I think Syed Abdullah coming in is really going to bolster that top order. And I think it's going to be interesting to see the combination they go with because you've got Chandrabal Hemraj in the side, you've got Xavier Marshall, Vandit Kumar Prajapati opened the batting last year, but I think Syed Abdullah now might replace him in that opening position. So it'll be interesting to see their combination with the bat in hand. But with the ball, I think the main thing which stands out is that there's no more Damien Jacobs in this team, who was the leading wicket taker just a couple of seasons ago in 2021. But he's no longer here. And so someone like a Yasir Mohammed would really have to step up with the ball in hand.
Absolutely. And I was just about to bring up the Yasir Muhammad being brought over from the Manhattan Yorkers. And Damien Jacobs didn't quite do what the Somerset Cavaliers thought he was going to bring. Remember that initial season with the Empire State Titans, had a 5-wicket haul at Church Street Park, was really effective. Didn't really find that same kind of success. Yasir Mohammed wasn't able to play a lot in 2022, but there's a reason he keeps getting selected by the USA to get on these tours. He takes wickets internationally, and I think he's much improved with the bat. Opened the batting a couple of times for the Manhattan Yorker, so I think he's someone who can also bolster a middle order that, when you see the strength up top, he can add some depth and some big hitting. Plays a lot of those unconventional strokes you like in T20 cricket. I think he's someone to watch out for. Bernal also the under 21, a keeper, and someone who really stuck out with the bat as well. I thought he had a couple of big innings in last season, showed some promise, and I think if he can continue to develop and get some reps, he's another guy to add to that middle order. So moving from the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, we move to the New England Eagles. And with the New England Eagles, this is a team that feels kind of brand new, Jay. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean the New England Eagles, I think if we have a look at their team, just 3 wins in 14 games last season, bottom of the table. They really hadn't done well. I think the average score they had 135. But we have a look at their team this year. I think Apurva Maheshram, who was the leading run scorer for them, he'll be key. Along with him, you've got Azhar Ali as well. But one player I'll be interested in is Rizwan Mazar, because he's someone he's the wicketkeeper of the side, and he's a good finisher. I like him as a finisher, but it's just that he really hasn't been able to express himself due to those top order failures and those collapses, which means he has to play more of that rebuilding role. But I think he's really a perfect type player to play some of those cameos. And so I think if the New England Eagles, that top order can really get going, then I'd be really interested to see how Mazar can contribute to this side.
Yeah, agreed. I think a lot of these batters haven't had a fair shake just because the top order hasn't been there for a long time. And so that middle order gets exposed early. They have to kind of play in their box and not try to get out. And that leads to them not being able to put up big totals, not being able to chase totals. Apurva Maheshram was a revelation for them. Again, one of those guys like Danish Patel just kind of came out of nowhere and was just really something to watch. He's the under 21 of the side. So he's going to be back up top of the order. Who's going to be up there with him is going to be the question. And will they be able to continue to build out that top order just to make that middle order so much more valuable? You look at a lot of these teams on the side, when that top order clicks, thinking about the New Jersey Stallions, who've won this division twice over, their top order consistently is getting them through the power play, getting them to almost that 9-over mark, and then they're able to exploit the big hitters in the middle. If they can find someone up top with the pull from a Maheshram, that's where this team's going to find success. Until that happens, that other 3-win season could be in the books, but you never know as they continue to fill out this roster. Finally, we'll move to the Empire State Titans, and this was a team, again, year one was easily the most explosive team in the competition, kind of faltered off in year two. What do you think about this side in year two?
Well, I think Empire State Titans, for one of them, Manang Patel, not in that pre-draft roster anymore. So he's going to be a big miss there. And I think they're going to need a completely new batting order, really, because only Adil Bhatti remains from the top 7 run scorers that the Titans had in the last season. So Bhatti there, of course, he's going to be key with both bat and ball, but a completely new batting lineup. Christopher Van Tol as well remains transferred into that team towards the latter half of the season. So batting seems to be a bit problematic as of now, but we have a look at the bowling lineup. Then you've got, Ariful Haq, he's not in the team anymore, who was the joint second highest wicket taker in the entire Atlantic Conference. So a bit surprising to see him not there. So with the ball as well, they're going to need to get some additions. One of those being Preet Shah, who they've brought in.
Yeah, and you talk about the bowling. I think you look no further than what they did with their wild card selection, going after Tapash Basia, who has played Bangladeshi international cricket, has 36 Test wickets and has 59 ODI wickets to his name. So he's someone they're going to rely on to kind of be a big contributor with the ball early on, get that movement, because you mentioned this batting order is going to take some time to really find its flow. They brought back Kwame Patton Jr., who is their under 21. He was a keeper bat for them last year. They put him in that middle order. He's someone that they're really high on, and I've seen express himself at a high level down at some of the competitions, the minor league junior competition down in Houston last year. He had a couple of good innings, but they're going to need a lot out of those guys. You mentioned just Adil Bhatti really returning, so it's going to be on the bowling likes of Tapash Basia and the rest of that company to really make life easier early on for these batters to to kind of bolster their chances early on the season and then get themselves in a role for this later half. Jay, we've had a look at this entire division. What's your take on it? Where's the team that you're looking at? Said, wow, this team is going to be the one. Or what 2 teams do you think are really going to be fighting for it at the end of the competition.
Well, I think you really can't look past New Jersey Stallions for one. Making that conference finals in the last 2 years, they've done extremely well. So Stallions, I think they're definitely going to be up there. And then another team I'm eyeing is the Philadelphians, because they've lost some big players with the bat, but they've also got some excellent additions. You add that up with guys like Liam Plunkett, Trinson Carmichael in the side as well. And I think this Philadelphians team is really coming along well. So I think for me, Stallions and Philadelphians are going to be my two, which personally, I feel like they'd be favorites for this division, but it will really be interesting to see. I mean, there's some excellent players, the Somerset Cavaliers as well, coming back much stronger, the Manhattan Yorkers. So I think overall, it's going to be an interesting division, but for me, the Stallions and Philadelphians are the two which pop out.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Those are the two teams I was going to say, but I'm not going to be boring about it. I'm going to throw a third team in there, and I am going to throw in the Somerset Cavaliers. I think what they could do with the ball, I thought they got really unlucky to start off their minor league campaign, and that got them on the wrong foot. I think if they just get on the other side of those wins, and I think they're expecting Yasser Muhammad to make a big difference in that wicket-taking column that it just didn't have last season. Damian Jacobs just didn't work out for them, but the Philadelphians are a team that have come out really strong. They have a great fan base. It's great to go up to a game at Exeter Park up there in Philadelphia. So, this is an interesting division, and that's why we're talking to you, because you're the expert on it. Jay, thank you so much for talking with us, and thank you so much for tuning in to this minor league draft show. This was the Eastern Division, and we'll send you back with all the rest of the coverage in a little bit. Well, it was great to catch up with Jay to figure out what the Eastern did in the pre-draft process, but there's still some players left to be found, and I'm joined once again by Nate Hayes, and now Dane Pete has joined us as well. Guys, who are some of the names, I'm going to start with Nate, that weren't in that pre-draft process that we're looking at right now?
Well, there were a couple wicket keepers missing. Akshay Hamraj, Mario Rampersad. Oops, I didn't have my mic on. Here we go. Yeah, there were a couple wicket keepers missing. Akshay Hamraj and Mario Rampersad and the youngster Muhammad Shah. So there's 3 wicket keepers that are up for grabs, I would imagine, during the draft. All-rounder, I didn't see Christopher Barlow. You guys talked about him on the preview. That's a big name. He's one of the biggest players in the league history. Bowling, you mentioned Jonoy Drysdale, who was terrific for Philadelphians. He was very reliable. Abdul Jabbar from the Philadelphians, who performed well in his few chances last year. I think he's a guy that could really bolster a team's depth. Damian Jacobs, the biggest, that's a really big one. How do you lead the league in wickets one season, and now you're subject to the draft? So hopefully he's subject to the draft. Let's see what happens there. Wild cards, Umaid Asif. That's your favorite guy. Remember him? Yeah, he was. He was fantastic. So I think Umaid Asif might actually appear again in the league. He really enjoyed himself. He loved playing here at Church Street Park. Who doesn't, right? And Jonathan Fu, that's a surprise. He was a tremendous player, especially in the first season for minor league cricket. In fact, he had some consideration, I think, for MVP of the league because of his clutch performances. But yeah, so what are your thoughts about that, Dane? By the way, Dane, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just ended up coming from McDonald's now, actually. But yeah, like you said, it's the way the league has gone for the last couple of years. It's all about what the owners want, regardless of what your performance is. So consistency for me would have been nice to see. But you can see the Cavaliers are pretty much consistent with guys like Chandapal Hemraj, Xavier Marshall. I see Karima Gore there now, Najaf Shah. So you need to have some sort of consistency with a competition that's played over 2 months out of the year. Right. So the guys know who they are, the chemistry, those type of things. Because if you're being brutally honest, you don't want guys to come in just before the competition starts. You don't really know who the type of character that they are. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's always interesting. I get the feeling that the East is always busy.
Sure.
It's always been busy for the last couple of years. So yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned consistency. The New Jersey Stallions seem to be just a staple of it because despite a couple of big moves, losing Paul Palmer and Anthony Bramble, that core is still there. And to that core, they've added Bhaskar Yadram and Monik Patel. This team has all the makings to be right back in the thick of it come playoff time, Nate.
Yeah, not only in the thick of it, but they've made it to finals weekend 2 years in a row. They don't look any worse this season, that's for sure. They look absolutely tremendous right now, the Stallions. Like you said, Manong Patel, what an addition right there. And then Bhaskar Yadram, who you've got your finisher right there. You've got somebody who can play the length of the innings, and you already have Sai Mukamala, our hero. you've got Raymond Runrotten, who took big steps last season, and I think it's good for these players who are taking steps, who last season had to take a big responsibility to play on a team that actually has a little more batting depth. Even I think that's actually a good thing, even if it means maybe they don't have as big of a responsibility, but I think that they can apply the lessons they learned last year now.
Yeah, the unsung hero in that team is definitely Sachin Maya Varalapu.
Oh, absolutely.
He's an unbelievable bowler. He bowls in the pressure situations. For Jesse, he's bowled in the power play. And yeah, I mean, the additions to that team really makes them, they're batting a lot stronger than it was last year. And they had a solid team last year too. Guys like Stephen Wigg, who's been a performer for them. I remember playing here in the playoffs against him. He bowled pretty well in the game that he got brought into.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Left armer, he knows his game. So yeah, I mean, right there, it looks good. And if you're looking at, I see Manoj moving to, I think, the Yorkers. So like I said, there's a lot of movement.
Right.
It feels probably with Bhaskar coming to the Stallions, there's not going to be too much opportunity, and I rate him highly as a bowler. He's a really good bowler.
Sure.
He does a job for you, and I mean,
Powerful.
you'll do really, really well over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Manoj Acharia going to the Yorkers, and they did lose Bhaskar Yadav, maybe one of the biggest losses that we've seen here in the draft. They're going to have a lot of holes to fill, and Manoj Acharia, I think, is someone bringing him back is such a key thing for them because he was really good for them in year one, and you mentioned it, bowled really well for the Stallions there in year two. How do you go about, Nate, you mentioned some of the names available. What do you think they should be looking at to replace such a valuable asset of Bhaskar Yadav?
Well, it's really hard to replace a guy who basically hit the ball to the tennis courts here in 2021 and who does so many things for the team. I mean, he's like he said, he's a tremendous bowler. He strikes at a high rate. He could finish the games for you. That's a really tough thing to replace. I think you replace a player like him with a wild card player. I don't think you really replace a player like him in a draft. You can't replace Bhaskar Yadram in a draft.
Yeah, it's a good player. I was actually surprised he wasn't picked up higher in the Major League draft, to be honest, with his capabilities. He's the type of guy that will give you at least 30% of a match-winning performance in a year. And if you're an X-factor player, you would take that any day.
Sure.
Especially in the leadership part of the group, you would want one of your big X-factor players to come off at least 30% of the time. You're definitely taking that.
Sure.
Because of the way that he bowls, it's aggressive, he thinks wickets, and the way that he bats. Last year actually showed a lot of maturity at the game we played here against the Yorkers, where he actually took some time to get going, and then he absolutely launched at the back end and whacked the ball all over. So that's the type of maturity that the minor league does give. Guys like Bhaskar is a young cricketer, but coming in, knowing that he's here to do some business for your team, you got to come in with a clear mind and try to give that 30% of match-winning performances.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things this season that's really going to help out the East is the mandate for the hybrid wickets and the grass turf. The grass turf wickets in the East. It will really help a ton. It'll help players like Bhaskar Yadram, who a lot of times you end up in the East, you're going to play on Astro all the time. You start to depend on different lengths to get people out. You start to hit different lengths better and hit different lengths worse. And I think that will really help out the entire division. We have an incredibly good division here. And as we mentioned, we've been talking.
One team leaving.
Even with one team leaving, yeah. The Washington team has rebranded as the Baltimore team, and they've moved
Royals, yeah.
the Baltimore Royals. They were the Eagles, right? They rebranded as the Baltimore Royals, and they've moved in the South. So that's exciting for the South because we get to see new players here, and now we have 6 and 6. Yeah. So as far as the team numbers goes, but yeah, this Stallions team. Look at all these players, and so many of them we have a good memory of some amazing performance they've done in the past. You mentioned Stephen Wiggs.
Yeah.
That final over he bowled here was unbelievable. He wasn't defending very much, and he made it work, and he bowled wide Yorkers just inside the line, just good, excellent stuff.
But I think chemistry is really important in this competition. I did mention it. I remember sitting a year ago in pouring rain, and we spoke about the Philadelphians that were on paper they looked absolutely stacked, but
Sure.
when it came down to actually playing in the games, they didn't deliver to the standards that the paper showed.
Right.
But a team like the Stallions, they always look like they're unified, got a lot of camaraderie, which helps on the field in a pressure situation where you know the guy's character that's next to you, so you can trust him into defending a low total in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that for sure. And again, the Yorkers finished second in the East last year, and it feels like they might have just taken a step back because you lose Bhaskar Yadav, and it's hard to replace that. You bring in Manoj Acharya, but you look across this.
I see no Smith Patel here.
You see no Smith Patel there too. So you look across this squad at the moment, and you're just struggling to see where is that batting depth coming from. Yeah. They're going to rely a lot on that under 21 Danish Patel, who really outperformed, I thought, last year than the expectations were. But beyond that, I really just don't know what to expect from this Yorkers lineup.
I know the name Kwame is a good player. Kwame Patton, I've seen a bit of him. He's a good player. There's two names that I know from the DC Hawks. You mentioned earlier, Nate. There's Adil Bhatti and Chris Van Tool. Chris Van Tool's opening batsman, wicket keeper, probably the tallest keeper in the whole wide world. Probably like 6'4", I think, 6'5". Adil Bhatti is a good all-rounder, experienced campaigners, played for the US. So that's where the guys are going to, lean onto. You lean onto your experienced guys to be consistent, not quite the match winners, but consistent throughout the year. Where your young guys like the young Patel, I remember him playing a really good innings here last season. He looked really good, nice and in control of what he does. But yes, it's completely different, And I know that Toka Khan from the DMV as well. Really good player, all rounder.
Oh, front part, yes.
And he waxed the ball. So there are players there, but like you say, they probably have taken a step back.
Right, and those guys with the Empire State Titans looking in a different direction, but the Yorkers rather having a Vandit Kumar Prajapati and Abhijit Kangura and yes. Those guys. Again, I think there's a lot of youth. When you look about Abhijit Kangura looking at probably your frontline bowlers was an under 21 just a year ago, so I think there is some things left to be desired. I think there's a lot of chance for growth for these individual players, but they're going to need to hit in this draft.
Huge for Manhattan to bring Manoj back. He was a star player for them in the first season. He was very, very good for them, especially going right up, I think it was like right up through week, through the seventh or eighth or ninth week, they were right in the race in the first season. And he was a big reason why he was taking very big wickets whenever he bowled, and I think that's a big move for them. Now, this is an interesting thing to me because Manoj was with the Yorkers in 2021. He left the Yorkers, went to the Stallions, pretty much helped fill Justin Dill's shoes, and now he's back with the Yorkers. Is this a sign to you, Dane, of the importance of chemistry, and maybe they brought him back because they knew he could fit with the team?
Yes, it's always comfortable going back to an environment that you do know. But yeah, I think it's really important. I'm a guy that believes in chemistry and how you sort of build your team around certain characters. You need a hothead in your team. You need a guy with composure. You need a young guy. You need experienced guys. So that's the type of chemistry that we after. But it's good that I've seen him land in that team, and I know he'll do well. He's a wicket taker. He's a clever thinker, and he really executes to his ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they're going to need to rely on a lot of different pieces. I think this draft is going to be big for them. They just picked up Hidden Patel in the first round from the New Jersey Stallions to add some depth. They also went in a youth direction. Siddharth Gupta, a name if you followed the minor league junior championship, you'll know, because of the fact that he had in 12 matches 12 centuries in the junior championship. So he's a really bright, a young and up and coming cricketer. So he's someone that I think they're going to look for.
And who's this?
Siddharth Gupta.
Oh, wow.
He's someone they picked up in the
Siddharth Gupta.
Nice.
Siddharth Gupta. That's pretty good. Pretty good. That's impressive. That's 12. I don't care what level you're playing in. 12 and 12.
And I got to umpire some of those matches, and it was pure class that he was batting at. But Dane pointed at my computer screen. You would have seen it because he sees a name on there that the Philadelphians are going to love to have back, and it's Janoy Drysdale. They've officially brought him back in the third round. Dane, what do you like about Janoy?
Yeah, Janoy is good. I remember him playing against us here in Morrisville with the super over games you guys spoke about earlier. But just in the power play and the way he swung the ball nice and early on. I think he bowled 3 overs up front and then they kept him 1 at the back. But he was really good in the power play. He swings the ball. He bowls with a pretty decent pace compared to the rest of the country, which is always good to see. Nate spoke about playing on hybrids. You speak about playing on hybrids. You speak about playing on Astro. Having that kind of X-factor bowling back of a length, the stump high, those are the type of the skill sets that the Philadelphians are probably looking at. With Liam Plunkett being there already, that just adds a bit more venom from a fast bowling front.
Yeah, absolutely. And this a Philadelphians team that added a couple of pieces as well. Ryan Scott, priority domestic that they brought over, and a Rajdeep Darbar, getting him from the Manhattan Yorkers as well. So this is a team that, again, on paper, looks to be a very solid side. And then to go alongside a Shanshu Bhatia to bring back a Janoy Drysdale, really big for them, Nate.
Oh, no question. It's huge. It's huge. So yeah, we're getting some news about some of the draft picks. We're going to fill everybody in as they come in, but I want to announce the very first pick of the draft this year, which is always fun. Is Gajanan Singh by the Empire State Titans. So congratulations to Gaj. He's a favorite of ours. How do you not love Gajanan Singh? He's just an absolute performer, bats from the left side, which is always valuable in minor league cricket, and he bashes the ball. He plays for Team USA. He doesn't probably get enough recognition, but he's an incredible player.
The big thing for me, I would love to see the US players a bit more available than they were last season. They add a lot more flair to the competition. A guy like Gajanan Singh you spoke about, Morang Patel is the captain, Nisak Patel, Jesse Singh, Ali Khan, all of those guys. It would be nice to see them play in a domestic competition and let the youngsters learn from them, because in a team environment, you sort of, as a young guy, me coming up, I always went to the experienced guys to get their views on certain things, because an immature mind doesn't think like the mature mind at the end of the day. So to have that kind of conversations is really good. So it will be nice to see those guys play. You spoke about Gajanan and those type of guys adding value to their team. And at the end of the day, cricket is not only played in the field. There's a lot of conversation that need to happen off the field to help players grow at the end of the day. So they have a sort of clearer mind thinking going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned just guys that can look up to Gajanan Singh and Adil Bhati that you mentioned, just available to strengthen that batting lineup for the Empire State Titans that, at one point, arguably was the most destructive batting lineup in all of the league when you opened it up in that first playoff run. We were all thinking, how can anyone beat the Empire State Titans? Again, they're going to need to continue to find guys like Gajanan Singh to boost that batting lineup. But another team that looks very good with the bat in hand, the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, you brought them up, Dane. They kept a lot of that team very much the same, and from a batting standpoint of Xavier Marshall, Chandrapal Hemraj, this is a team that, again, on paper looks pretty good.
Yeah, Abdullah has gone back from the Philadelphians. You can see him over there. He's gone back to
Another guy went back, yeah.
Another guy that's gone back. And I mean, if you look at that, the makeup of the team, Kareem Agor is a proper all-rounder. Let's just put it out there. Yeah, he bats and bowls exceptionally well. And let's not forget about how he's in the field. So that's a trifecta player that you do have in your team, which always adds value. And like you say, the batting, there's versatility, there's everything. There's explosiveness up front with Abdullah. There's Kareem Agor who knocks it around and then has the ability to bash it at the end. So they look like they've done a lot of work. Xavier Marshall's consistent. He's been one of the top run getters a couple of years ago when I was still at the DC Hawks. So he's been consistent. He's experienced. That's what it is. And he looks like a one-club man. He won't go anywhere. But yeah, it's a completely strong batting lineup. And let's not forget Chandrapal Hemraj too.
True, and in this division here, last year they had a slow start. Remember they played here. You beat them on the final ball of the game here on that Friday night, which was amazing. That was an incredible week. We'll talk about that weekend a little bit later on. We got a video about that. But that was an incredible weekend, and they were on the bad side of that weekend. And it started off their season in a bad way, and they were never able to really recover. But with this team, as you said, they've got batting all throughout. They have huge that Kareem Agor heads back there. Like you said, he does everything well, and nobody is a better fielder, for my money, than Kareem Agor. Just incredible athleticism. This is why I think Umaid Asif would be a good fit for this team again, because I think that's kind of the one thing that they're missing.
Iron Man.
Yeah, he's proper.
Someone to bowl with,
he's proper,
Najaf.
He's proper.
Yeah.
I think the East has always done this. They don't name their wild cards up until the very end because they try to get the best.
Sure.
I foresee like a guy like Jonathan Fu going back to the Philadelphians without a shadow of a doubt. He's been too valuable for them. Sure. Again, we speak about off the field, it's experience.
Right. They didn't name him last year until
they didn't exactly. Yeah. So I mean, Iron Man, he bowls a heavy ball. He's really good for their team. He was really good for the team, but hopefully he can be here for the whole competition.
Yeah, and another thing that the Somerset Cavaliers did was they said, all right, we have Kareem McGore to bowl some leg spin. We're going to get him a leg spin duo in Yasser Mohammed, getting the USA leggy in there as well. So now you have that combination going in.
Right. Move from the Yorkers.
From the Yorkers to the Somerset Cavaliers. So I think that's another big move for them. Also can fit into an under-21 role.
Right.
You already have Pranav Rao, who's going to keep wicket, was a tremendous keeper for them already.
Right.
And then in the draft, they've already picked up Paul Palmer and Sean Finlay. So they've done a lot of really good things this offseason.
Nice. Two left-handers, maybe play cross forward.
And also, you know, Karima, I want to mention this because what last season when we got to see Karima bowl here, right? We were here the weekend he got injured. Just before he got injured, he played well that game. I think he scored a half century or close to it.
Yes.
And he bowled very well. And I have to mention that his ball drifted quite a bit more than I've seen from him in recent times. So I think that he's taking steps. He was also the MVP of a massive competition in his home country. So in Antigua. So the Cool and Smooth, I think it's called. So, you know, he would be my Laxmi player to watch. If we're gonna do a Laxmi player to watch, he would be my Laxmi player to watch.
Me too. He's consistent. I mean, I've been seeing on social media him playing back home, and playing the longer format of the game really helps in every facet of your game. So with his bowling, if he's bowling a lot more overs, he's training consistently. That helps him get better consistently, you know. And I mean that's really good because I know he's got a lot of potential. He's a young guy, and hopefully he can get back into the USA team.
Oh, I hope so. I think he has a lot to offer the USA team. And if US, also another thing is, man, we need USA cricket to play more T20s. Outside of ICC events, they don't really play T20s, except for, of course, the 2021 December when you were there doing commentary for the Ireland game, which we split to 1-1 against Ireland, which was incredible. But since then, we haven't played any non-ICC event T20, and I think it would be great if we did it. Revive a series against Canada. Then I'd love to see Kareem McGore back in that T20 team because of all the things he can do, and he can do at such a high level, and he brings a lot. And I think as a T20 player, it's tough to find someone better than him.
No, absolutely. He does everything at all three phases of the game that you could possibly want. And so that's what makes this so intriguing because you have a lot of really good players across the Eastern Division. Once again, the squads look incredible at the moment. I think there's a couple teams that really stick out. But Dane, after just a little bit of talking, what teams right now do you think are up front in front of this division?
The Stallions for me has always been a team that they've been consistent. You cannot take away the fact that they've gone to finals weekend all minor league. So they're the guys that look up, and then obviously the Cavaliers too. They look pretty strong, but I'll say from now the top three teams are probably the Cavaliers, the Stallions, and the Philadelphians. They'll compete in the East. They'll be pretty strong. They'll be pretty difficult to beat, but again, playing on Astro, playing on hybrid, those type of things levels it out because trying to get 220 on an Astro. That's possible, you know, with a stacked batting lineup. So then again, the makeup of the teams, you have to see which way they go, who's the leader of the team, and just the guys that's available. Injuries leading up, because the minor league's quite a distance away, so there's a lot of things can happen. But there's probably three teams. I can't put one team out at the moment, but three teams. That will be real competitive.
Yeah, I think so too. And let's talk a little bit more about the first round selections, if you guys don't mind. So we've already mentioned Gajanan Singh. The Philadelphians took Devashwari Prasad with the number 2 pick in the first round. Manhattan Yorkers picked Hiran Patel. Somerset Cavaliers picked Sean Finley. Sean Finley, that's a good choice.
He's been there for the last couple of years too. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Once again, they're going to rely on the players that they've always trusted.
Exactly.
This is an interesting thing here. The New Jersey Stallions just picked up Siddharth Matani. Now, Siddharth Matani played it last year for the Lightning, and he was on our midway of the season All-Star team. I think he was leading the South in wickets at that particular point. And so we know Siddharth can catch fire. He can have these hot streaks. Definitely. And I think that's a good pick for them.
Think about pairing him with Sachaman Lavarapu. Exactly. Now that spin duo would be unbelievable.
Both of them can bowl in the power play, which is really impressive for them. So that's a great pickup. The way it's surprisingly the Lightning didn't go after him again. But yeah, that's a great pickup because he can bowl in the power play. I remember him bowling at the death too to me out in Atlanta. So I mean that's a real good pickup. Very good off-spin bowler.
Right, and so when you put him in, and you consider Sachin Mailavarap, who plays for who played for Singapore.
That's a great pronunciation.
Mailavarapu. I got it.
Nice.
Well, I've been doing this for this is a while. Yeah. But when you put the two of them together, also we might see a little bit more Jesse Singh following maybe a Bhaskar Yadav with the bat a little bit. We might see Jesse batting a little bit more on this team this year, which I'd love to see because we know he has it in him.
Yes.
Yeah, again, this draft has been really good, and we're only 3 rounds deep. We're still waiting for more of those results to pile in, and as those results pile in, we'll continue to see how these teams continue to bolster their lineups. But a couple other picks that are of a particular interest. You have Raj Anand being picked up by the Philadelphians, who was part of the Yorkers last year, the all-rounder there, and so he should add a little bit more of that depth to that squad. Again, you're expecting them to bring back Jonathan Fu, but he's someone who can fit in that middle order and pick up some runs.
That's when we spoke about, or Nate spoke about Abdul Jabbar missing out, maybe not seeing him in the list. That's a guy that's probably going to fill his spot, unfortunately, but that's a great pickup again. He played for the Yorkers, I think you mentioned. He will add good value to that team because I know he can bowl in the power play too, and he can hit the ball a long way. Solid in the field as well. So it's always good having, all left-hander. He bats left-handed, he bowls left-handed. So that just adds versatility to your batting lineup.
Excellent. Yeah. It's interesting. We see here in the 3rd round, as you mentioned, Drysdale, 4th round. There's some 4th round selections out now. We haven't mentioned those yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
Okay, so we have Mario Romperstad back with the Philadelphians, which, once again, as you say, it matters a lot to these teams that they have a core, and it's great that they get to pick. It seems to matter enough to all the teams that they're kind of letting each other pick their guys, which is going to happen when you want a guy, and the other team wants a guy, and they're different guys.
Yeah, it's always difficult to go to someone that you don't quite know. In the sense of, if it's not a Bhaskar Yadav, for example, but to go to someone that's like going to fill, a number 7 or open the bowling or whatever it is, it's difficult to go to someone that's not proven in your environment. So they'll always tend to stick to, okay, this is a guy that can do a job for us in a certain situation. He falls into the team quite nicely. So yeah, that's always going to be interesting to see how the guys fill the team up.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, it's I'm loving this stuff. I'm loving this. This is great. This is great. Look.
Nate is always down for a good draft, and again, we talk about some more guys that could add some depth. Aaman Patel, not just because he shares my name, but the talented leg spinner in the 3rd round for the Empire State Titans. He's someone who's been a part around the USA Under-19 setup for a while, so he's someone that can, again, if they ever need to turn to somebody, this is a team that looks like they're still trying to find an identity. To have a leg spinner in your side can always be very valuable for you. Again, wicket-taking bowlers are something you can never have too much of in T20 cricket.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Aaman Patel, like you said, he's been around. This is his 3rd season in the league. Yeah, that's great. Like you said, you can never have too many bowlers. Excellent depth choice for them.
Again, we're still waiting for these picks to continue to get announced and continue to bring this live coverage. Again, we have just the 3rd round picks out there at the current moment. So we'll continue to head through. But Nate, we heard that you had a little bit of a video made and you had some talks with a couple of individuals. Could you talk about that for us?
Yes, actually, right now, I guess we'll cut to that. We'll cut to the video of the Major League Update. So Barbara, can you cue that up, the Major League Update video? It's time for another Major League Cricket update. The IPL season is behind us, with CSK taking home the trophy again. Can the Yellow Army continue to march in Dallas as the Texas Super Kings look to maximize a home field advantage in the inaugural Major League Cricket season? Speaking of that home field, Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium continues making headway, with stadium seats now installed. Washington Freedom continue their team announcements with every Freedom Friday. Josh Phillippe joins Moses Enriquez and coaches Greg Shippard and Dale Stein as fans get more of a look into the quality outfit that GM Michael Klinger has put together. San Francisco Unicorns announced Lungi and Gidi as their roster starts to take shape. and Seattle Orcas unveiled their final logo. Word of MLC is spreading throughout American media thanks to Good Morning America, local and regional news, and new media personalities.
To the 3 guys that were in the warehouse, here's Corey just dicing me up because I don't know how to hit a cricket ball. It's scary as hell. I'll work on it.
MLC Junior tournaments took place over Memorial Weekend, and I spoke with some of the next generation of American cricketers in Morrisville, North Carolina.
It's very competitive. It's nice to see other teams come out from the U.S. to play us and what they bring in their sport and how they're doing this and this better than us and what we can implement in our team. That's really nice, and we get a lot of match experience.
It's just really fun. I like going on tours, like especially me, because I like exploring new places, new things.
What's it been like playing in the MLC Junior Championship?
It's been fun. It's been really fun, and I've gained a lot of confidence while I've batted.
Yeah, what's it like going around to different places in the United States to play cricket?
As I said, it's been fun. I like to tour places and go around the world.
Yeah. You just got a man of the match. What was that first one in this tournament?
Yeah.
What was that like? What's that feeling like?
I feel really nice scoring the runs, and yeah.
TSK.
Go TSK.
We're with you all the time. Go in the cup for us.
Go TSK.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and tune in here for more. And look at that smiling face of Aaman Patel right there at the end of that video. How great is that?
Yeah, man, Nate, I was cold. It was raining. It's been a long weekend, and I was happy that the game got done very quickly. I didn't have to make any decisions. That was my best.
Well, you were umpiring that game.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, so you did an excellent job, by the way. I watched you. I tried to get you on video. Left my tripod at home, so it's hard to get video with.
I was very good at calling wides, man. I'm very good at calling wides.
Well, yeah, you're nice and long, so
Yeah,
it helps.
there you go.
Yeah. but yeah, so that we just got to hear from some kids in Major League Cricket Junior. That's really cool. It's a really great tournament that they do. There's a lot of travel in that, and the kids seem to have a great time and get a good experience. They get some coaching from players like yourself, Dane, and you get to coach a lot of the young guys around here as well. I know you're seeing a lot of improvement in these young players too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just what I like the most about these kids are they want it. You know, it's just not an extramural activity that they're doing. They actually force their parents, and we all know that the Indian parents too love cricket as much as their kids, so they will force the kids to go to the training sessions, and that helps because you want to get better at the game, you know.
Right.
And I think that's the best thing I love about the coaching is the interaction you have with the kids and the willingness of wanting to learn, you know, and the questions they ask you is really good. So, I mean, it's always a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, excellent. So we have some fourth round selections in, and I'm going to announce those. We have New Jersey, Karen Patel picked New Jersey. Waleed Karamula was picked by the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers. Manhattan Yorkers picked Deep Joshi, which that's not a surprise. I believe we got Mario Rampersad, who I already mentioned, from the Philadelphians, and Empire State Titans Deepak Putter. So that's the fourth round for you right there, and we also have the fifth round in. I just got a text about. I got the special.
He's got the phone. He's Adam Schefter today, everybody. We're just waiting for him to announce all the facts.
Directly from God, right here. Empire State Titans, Tawhidul Islam. Pretty proud of myself for that one.
Nice.
I got
Let
that
someone
one.
else tell you. You shouldn't compliment yourself. Let someone else compliment you.
Well, look, you didn't look at it though. The Philadelphians took Sivaram Swarna. Manhattan Yorkers picked Shiv Patel. New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers Ahmed Labib, and New Jersey Stallions Shayan Saad. So that is the first 5 rounds. Some of those names are new to the league, I believe.
And it's great to see some new names to the league,
see,
and again, some young guys we already mentioned, a couple, just 16 years old getting drafted. So to see new names continuing to enter the league, it means that there are some players up in the wings and guys coming in and trying to make an impact this upcoming season.
Yeah, no question. It's all shaping up now. 5 rounds in, and when you have 9 keepers, you've got your wild cards in mind. These teams, by now, they have their wild cards in mind. So that's 10 players. You got your domestic wild card in mind for sure, if not yet announced. That's 11 players, and then you're 5 rounds deep now. You're 16 players in. So this is where pretty much the depth. This is the depth now. This is going to be the depth of the team. And at this point, what are you looking for, Dane? At this point in the draft, what type of a player are you looking for this deep?
Yeah, I mean, it's important that sometimes you hear people from the outside, the noise, I like to call it. They say, why didn't you go with this one? Why didn't you go with that one? But the most important thing about cricket is having balance in your team. So if you can't have too many batsmen that sit out on the side, because if a bowler gets injured, you don't have the backup that's needed at the specific time. So the type of player you're looking for is maybe if you have two fast bowlers, a backup fast bowler, two specific bowlers, a backup batsman, a backup wicket keeper, an all-rounder, especially in this format of the game. So that all-rounder doesn't become a backup, but you become someone that can actually make your playing 11 as a wild card type of thing. You're going to put him in, come in at 6, hopefully whack a few, bowl 2-3 overs. Those are the type of players we're looking at. We're not looking for just a specific batsman, bowler, all-rounder, but we're just looking someone to complement the balance of the team. I'm a big believer in picking a character in the team, someone that's easy to travel with, someone he knows himself, he's not going to play every single game, but he's going to be good for the team environment. And that's some things that people don't tend to see and to look at. They just look at the player, but sometimes there's a nice package you get, off the field. He's good to travel with, he's easy, he provides a lot of camaraderie off the field, he gets you drinks, he never complains. Those are the type of things that, you need in your team environment for the team to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned some of those guys. The Somerset Cavaliers bringing back Walid Karimullah, someone who has taken wickets for them, 16 innings last season, 18 wickets to his name. So, again, bringing in some of that balance that you mentioned. And, again, some more picks being named. The Empire State Titans have closed out their drafts with Vansh Patel and Mario Laban. And then, still waiting for the 6th and 7th round picks from the other teams to come by. So, again, the Eastern Conference draft cutting to a close here. But again, you mentioned it. It's now I think about filling needs and filling roles for these certain players. I think that's what these owners and GMs per se would be looking at, the roles that are
you
left.
can see at the Cavs here around 4 and 5, they're picking 2 all-rounders. You have a wicket-keeper batsman too that comes in. So it's not just a fast bowler like I just said. So that's the balance you get to fill out with your team. You don't want too many batters. You don't want 3-4 batsmen sitting out on the side where you don't need that when push comes to shove. You want an all-rounder. So it's nice to see the different makeups of how the guys select their teams.
Absolutely. The Stallions went all-rounder heavy. You talk about, they list Siddharth Mathani as an all-rounder, Daron Davis an all-rounder, Rahil Marshari an all-rounder, and then their 5th round pick, Shayan Saad an all-rounder. So I think knowing that they have the bats up top and then the bowling down low, they said, all right, we're going to fill in our middle order in that kind of way.
Just want to lengthen your batting, if you want to play an aggressive style of cricket. We just saw now Moeen Ali coming back in. People are saying England's better off with Moeen Ali because he extends the batting. So with all-rounders that have the ability to get 18 of 10 balls, that's the match-winning innings coming down at number 8 or number 9.
Absolutely.
So it's all about the mindset and how you want to be playing cricket, and looking at the conditions of, I actually want to hit a couple, be nice and aggressive. So why not put in, other guys to come in and that can play an explosive brand of cricket.
Yeah, Nate, again, this is, as we come out to this tail end of it, we're going to see this Eastern Conference in its whole self. But, again, we heard Dane's top couple teams there. What are your top couple teams?
Well, I think after the draft, once again, the Philadelphians, last season I crowed about them. You guys teased me about that, which, go ahead, because I have a lot of respect for that franchise. They do a great job of getting new. I'm very passionate about new people coming in to cricket. We need that to happen. They care a lot about that. Not everyone cares about that.
The
they do.
Festival looked really fun in Philadelphia.
It was
last year.
We were there at the one that they put on.
Well, he got you to the Bulls game. He got you to the Bulls game.
We went to the we went to the baseball game last week. This was your very first one.
Yeah, the beer was awesome.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Great.
That's why they brought the 19-year-old to go over there. Right?
Yeah. Drive us out. No, it was really good. Lots of fun.
So I think the Philadelphians ahead of the draft had some questions that they answered in the draft, I think, pretty well for me, which was getting Janoy Drysdale back. Basically, that was a big part of it. Adding Ryan Scott, very consistent performer. Let's see how he does against the East. I think the East has always been...
Yeah, let's see how he does in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the East has always been it's a dog to score. There's pressure on the batting team. I think when you have a situation where you have a lot of runs, I think that puts pressure on the batters. You know, you have to score. You absolutely have to. I mean, obviously it's tough on the bowlers, but I think it's harder on the batters if you ask me. And then New Jersey Stallions, to me, we talked a lot about them. We didn't even talk about Dominic Rickey. How did that happen? Yeah. You know, I think he was at the top of the East. He was the second. He was the number one in the East in the Atlantic last season in runs, or he was at the top.
Yeah, and you can see it. The draft has concluded, and those are your final picks for that Eastern Conference. And again, Dominic Rickey going to be right amongst it with the New Jersey Stallions, who have impressed all of us here sitting on the panel. And again, it's very impressive what these teams have done. They've come out with the plan, and they've gone after it. And we'll see on August 5th how all of that comes to fruition here. Yeah, the new logo, everyone. Minor League Cricket, again, year 3, Sunoco Minor League Cricket with official partner.
Actually looks like a night cover drive, to be honest.
Does it? Does it? Yeah. My cover drive looks that nice? There we go. I'll take that, yeah. Yeah, but the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship with Laxmi, official partner Laxmi. And that's the first draft gone right there. There you go. It looks really good to me. I'm excited about this division this year. I'm extremely excited about this division this year.
Absolutely. You talk about not just this division, but how about some stuff happening in the Southern Division? Unmukt Chand and Fani Samadri both moving into this division. Dan, you're going to see them a couple of times a year. What do you think about those two players moving down?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, Fani's one hell of a bowler. That's why he was picked up in the major league. I always made a joke with him at this combines that we had. I'm like, in the major league you took like a four day bowler takes 43 wickets in a season.
Right.
He did that in a T20 competition, and I mean he's unbelievable. The best thing he always says, I don't train like I should, you know, and that for me it's good. It just shows that he's got a skill. With Fani coming across, Unmukt too. It's going to be nice and competitive. Our division was competitive last year. Yeah, the Lightning felt like we played in a CPL game against them.
Oh my gosh!
But it was always close, and I'm happy that we got through. But this year will be an even bigger test.
Yeah, I think I cannot wait to see Fani Samhadri in the South on a different team, because last year he was on a team they were the best team in the league in bowling, or one or two all year long, and they proved in the playoffs they were the best team in the playoffs in bowling. You know, they knew who their 5 bowlers were every single game. That's a luxury. When you have 5 guys, you know you can count on each of them for 4 overs a game. That is an absolute luxury, and all of them to perform at that level that they did. They knew what their roles were.
Depleted now.
They are depleted, but they knew what their roles were, and Fani's role was the most fun. Take all the wickets, and you know, and he took most of them in the death. So which means that everyone ahead of him did their job. So I'm curious to see how he does. I think he's a phenomenal bowler. I love the guy, and I want to see how he does with a new challenge on a new team that's not going to probably. I don't think there's any team in the league this year that's going to be as deep with the bowling as Seattle was last year. I mean, it's going to be hard for that to ever happen again. So I want to see how he does on a new team where he'll face new challenges, possibly slightly different role, or not as comfortable maybe of a role with this new team. But that batting on Atlanta. Lightning is going to be so good with Unmukt there. I think I'd also want to see Unmukt batting on a team where we know he established a role as the captain of Silicon Valley right from the start of that team, as somebody who needs to finish the job for them. And now we'll see how he fits into this team. Sometimes that affects your statistics negatively, and it could have influenced potentially a lower draft position for him. So we will in the major league draft. So we will see how he adapts to his new team and what role he plays, and if he plays with more freedom, because we know I think he's capable of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is all the questions that are going to have to be answered, and again, the Lightning doing a really good job getting those 2 guys to come down to their side, and we'll see how the rest of the South shapes up. Again, those are non-draft zones, so we won't talk about it here. They don't have a draft. They'll fend it out basically amongst themselves and decide how these players are going to be moved in certain directions. But again, as you mentioned, none bigger than those 2 coming down to the Atlanta side, seeing Unmukt bat, and we're going to get to see them at Church Street Park a couple of times.
And Baltimore too. Yeah.
And Baltimore coming into the division. So I think this Southern division is going to take a step up. Of course, you still have to deal with the same old Atlanta Fire, still the Morsel Raptors with Dane Pete. So still a division that is fully loaded, and I think there's even more fight for this number 1 spot.
And I'm curious to see if JaVale Glenn is going to be in the CPL with the Jamaica Talawas this year, or if he'll be back in Florida, because he was a really fun player to watch as well down there. And I think he's a difference maker. So I'm curious to see what shapes up in the South when we finally get those rosters. Do we see our buddy Danae Nathaniel playing in Florida again? All these great questions that will be answered when we finally see the rosters from the South, which nobody's drafting against each other this year. This is a really unique thing. An entire division is going draft free this year. So we will wait on those rosters, and we'll probably make some content around those.
Absolutely.
So if you want to join, you should join in with that. Come on.
Okay.
Dave's being roped in as always.
It's your division after all, right?
Yeah,
These are you got to. I want to see you shooting some. I want to see you shooting at them. I want to see you gunning them down. I want you come out there with a robe on. As a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Just start talking smack to these teams in the South. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I want to see. Because when we get this, then Aaman and I get to sit at the top of the hill and enjoy the show.
Okay.
That's what we'll do anyway. No matter how you come interested, we'll come on top of the hill. We'll enjoy the show. But Nate, you also, we mentioned Unmunkt and Funny Samadri coming down to Church Street Park. We also saw Liam Plunkett come down to Church Street Park. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Liam Plunkett's debut was here at Church Street Park, and that weekend his team actually was featured in two back-to-back Super Overs on Saturday and Sunday. They followed a Friday night game in which Dane Pete beat New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers on the final ball to win the game by scoring a 4. After that, there were 2 straight Super Overs, and these were Liam Plunkett's debuts in the league last season, and we got to see them here at Church Street Park, and I made a video about it. It's kind of a long video, so kick up your feet, warm up some Laxmi, and enjoy this video of Liam Plunkett's debut and the 2 Super Over here at Church Street Park. Huh?
Do you have Laxmi at home?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I love some basmati rice, man.
Liam Plunkett. I work Major League Cricket and I'm the National Development Coach.
So my first question to you would be, obviously World Cup winner, England player, known all around the world. But if I'd have said to you 10 years ago, what do you know about US cricket? I'm assuming you wouldn't have known much.
No, you're right.
Since signing on with Major League Cricket in 2021, Liam Plunkett has served MLC as a coach and ambassador, bringing credibility to major and minor league cricket and bringing a bit of professionalism to his Philadelphians team. On July 2nd, 2022, the Philadelphians came to Church Street Park for 3 games, the natural wicket and pristine ground perfect for the debut of the league's most famous player. Philly were 1-0 coming into the holiday weekend, having steamrolled the New England Eagles at home the weekend before. Philly had hopes that a successful 3-game trip would go a long way towards securing their first ever minor league cricket playoff berth. But to get off on the right foot, they'd have to first beat the Morrisville Raptors at their own ground.
That is the word from the middle. The Morrisville Raptors, once again, they win the toss and they've elected to bowl.
The wind gusting at Church Street Park as we welcome you back here. And we're going to see Aditya Badala continue after getting a wicket. Oh, this one looks good. Yes, it is. This one, there's no doubt about it, Karima. It's pitching in line, hitting in line, and I think impact hitting middle and off. It's going to bring in the man that's been attracting quite a show, attracting a lot of attention. People texting me all throughout the day, is he going to play? It's Liam Plunkett who's come in alongside Jonathan Fu.
Here we go. Liam Plunkett taking guard at Church Street Park.
We know he's a big power hitter who can come in. He's coming at the tail for England's national team. Aditya Badala to Liam Plunkett. What can he do? And straight away, run down to third man, past third man, and it's going to be 4 all the way to the boundary. That's the experience that Liam Plunkett brings.
Philadelphia earned a reputation in 2021 for winning close games with the bat, narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Already loaded with big hitters, the hope was that Liam Plunkett would make a big difference in the bowling department. But in his minor league debut, Liam was intent on showing that his bat was just as dangerous. And Liam stopped the bleeding for Philly and helped guide the team to 145 for 6.
Rohan Phadke put in a great dive, but it was just struck too well. There was no shot for Rohan Phadke out.
Coming off of a final ball victory the night before against the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, the home team were fired up and confident. But you can't take anything for granted at Church Street Park. It was anybody's game, as it so often is under the lights at the crown jewel of American cricket.
We're here set for the Morsel Raptors to open the batting. Look who's opening the bowling. Liam Plunkett extracting swing in the air back into the left-handed Lahiru Malanta. And that is exciting times. I know everyone in the crowd is very eager and excited to see this international world-class bowler win. The swing there is just over-pitched, and Lahiru Malanta is not going to miss out. Doesn't matter what kind of bowler you are, he's going to send that one for 4 all day long.
So Liam, having not played for 13 months,
Bowler. Look at that
nice
delivery.
Swing.
This is definitely exciting stuff to see again live and in person at Church Street Park. This time goes shorter. Lahiru chips it. It can only pick out. He picks out Syed Abdullah out there.
Liam's strong start with the ball helped stifle the Morrisville top order. But a late surge by local USA U19 star Abraham Bolasetti hinted at a comeback.
He's got all of that one, and that one's going all the way. We told you, he's got all the shots in the book.
All the shots in the book, and that's everyone's favorite one.
Everyone's favorite one, the slog sweep.
Definitely the bowler that they would want to target. Nothing against Anirudh Emanuel, but
this time straight back again. I'm sorry to cut you off, Nate, but that's one bounce over the boundary. He's taken a liking to Anirudh Emanuel.
And the World Cup champ would bowl his 4th and final over in an attempt to snuff out the kindling. Philly may have got their man, but the fire was still burning. Orbis Pinar and Kezi Archibald put the Raptors on their back late in the game and smashed their way into striking range.
56 over back to his team, bounces right in front of their dugout. 105 for the loss of 5 after 17, need 41 from the last 3.
You kind of got to wait and see, don't you?
Let's see what happens. This time, clears the legs again, but this time he got a bat on. It wasn't wide enough. Colin Archibald with another 6, keeping the Raptors in it. Don't go anywhere. Church Street Park, we're just starting.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, he does. It's shorter. It's straight back. I don't think Milan Kumar can get there. No, another 6. We know the power of Colin Archibald, and he's cheering up this Morrisville crowd. The kids delivering it back. Here we go. Shiranshu Bhatia. Again short. This time Archibald gets onto it. Has he cleared it? I think he has. He's done it. He was bound to get on one of these eventually. He got away with the first 2. This time, not going to get away with it. Last over was expensive, but it was only when he was bowling to Archibald. What can Obis do? Moves across. Oh, he's got onto this one. I think he's making the gap. There's all the naysayers wrong. He hits a 4 to start off the innings. It was only a matter of time. Whoever's above. Drysdale comes back in. This time, always down the leg side. That's well too easy. There's no doubt about that one. And they do it in day 2. Again, under the lights at Church Street Park. It's Noy Drysdale. He's running in to Obis Pinar. 9 from the last 4. Again, Obis back-to-back 4s. Again, steps across. This time straight down. That looks to be another one. And it is. Obis Pinar put on the flurry. He's in the comm box here. He's hit Nate Hayes right on the knees. He had to get up. We're celebrating over here in the comms.
Wow, it's like this is a season's worth of excitement, all in 2 games.
All in just 2 games at Church Street Park. We got 2 tomorrow, 2 on Monday, so it's not going to stop anytime soon. Here we go. Obis Pinar, he's hit 3 4s in the over, but Drysdale's gone very nice with the slower Yorkers. He's going to go back to it. 1 from 3. This one's slapped. Has he got to the boundary? Needs the boundary. No. He's going to carry. They're running 2. Chance of a super over. Does he get back? Is he in? He's in. And it's going to be a draw, and that means we're going to have a super over.
Oh, wow.
Guys, we thought it couldn't get more exciting than yesterday. No, it's more exciting now. Obis Ron with the dive. Mario Rampersard with the presence of mind to not allow them to come back for a 3rd.
And just like that, we had ourselves bonus cricket.
Again, we look at the crowd. They're so tense. We see a couple of TCO youth players, former TCO youth players out there, and again, everyone just you can cut the suspense with a butter knife right now. They're so on the edge of their seats. What a move!
Oh,
it's Karima Gore with the ball in hand, not Liam Plunkett, not Drysdale.
We're full of secrets all night long.
Absolutely, they kept out Bhatia, who could have been an option as well.
An option, right?
Flat in the air, keeps it on stumps, very difficult to score off of. And also, Obis Pinar did not have a liking to him. Maybe that's the strategy.
That might be
right.
Right.
Obis is going to be there. Keep him on there. Here we go. Karima Gore. Oh, and how is that missed the stump? So it's angling it all the way, just misses off stump, but it is a dot.
Yeah,
most importantly, it is a dot.
Beautiful ball.
The overall pressure on the Morsel Raptors. This one again angled into the pads. He's not able to get any bad. They're going to go off of a leg by, and it's only once to start with a dot and a single. Again, Obis did not really find a liking to him today. Try something innovative. Only one on offer. It's been a brilliant over. He keeps it out of that little paddle sweep that we see Obis Pinar do oftentimes. And Colin Archibald, he's the one having the biggest shots, but it's all been on pace. And just an inside edge. Is it going to be one? Is it going to leak to the boundary for four? Oh, it is going to leak to the boundary for four. Enough bat on, enough pace off Karima Gore, and the crowd is loving it. A boundary, you need one in a super over. Fine leg for four. 4 runs come up there. This one is hit over the top. That's going to be 6. Or has he picked out the fielder? It's 6.
What a shot.
It's 6. That's 12 runs from the super over so far. Here we go. Karima can't give up a third boundary. A straight back. It should just be, it could be 2, could be 4. No, it is just going to be 2. Yes, they're going to make 2 up in the end. And they're thinking about 3. No, they're not going to get 3. Smart work from Mario Rampersad, and that's going to do it. That's 14 runs. Another super over in minor league cricket. It's Archibald with the ball, Kumar with the bat, and his top edge up in the air. It's not going to find the boundary. Is he going to take the catch? No, it's going to fall short. Make sure you stop it. He does. And it's going to be 2 runs. Is there backup? There is. So 2 runs to start off of a top edge. So not the way you would have wanted it, but the way you'll take it if you're Milind Kumar. That means you need 13 from the last 5. Here we go. 13 from 5. Colin Archibald again with the ball. Kumar with the bat. Oh, creative. But it's only going to find fine leg, and he stopped it. He's done well, and he's kept it to 1.
Good fielding there. Good effort.
He didn't have a big day with the bat in the first innings. Can he have one down the super over? Oh, he's ball! Colin Archibald with the Yorker. Panted. You can see he's gone up in excitement. That's why they've gone to him. It's the experience. It's what he can do with every single variation. With that. Here we go. Colin Archibald. Can he hit one more Yorker? Or can Jonathan Fu redo the magic from last year? It's straight back. Oh, what a foot! Put his foot down. Had he not, I think that was storming away to the boundary. Keeps it to just 1.
Great stop there.
That was unbelievable. You can see smile off Jonathan Fu. He knew how firmly he struck it. Colin Archibald can't bowl a no ball. Remember, he bowled one earlier in the first innings. Can't have a replicate of that one. Here we go. Comes in. It's falling straight up in the air, though. I don't think he's got quite all of it. No, he hasn't. Can he grow into Futke? Yes, Rowan Futke won the match, and that's it. The screams, another hard-clinching win for the Morsel Raptors. They're up in elation.
Oh my
He was
gosh.
storming in from long off, takes a brilliant catch running in, pass on the back, and he's bumped up.
That was a heck of a run. Sprint full speed ahead, and to catch the ball when you're sprinting full speed ahead like that, it's a very difficult thing.
And it didn't need to come down to all 6. They got 2 wickets.
In minor league cricket, weekends are loaded with games, so you can't afford to have a long memory. And on holiday weekends especially, you've got to be ready to bounce back from early disappointment. The Philadelphians would be right back at it on Sunday, this time against the Cavaliers. Division rivals eager to show what they're made of after tough, close losses. Another great start with the ball for the Philadelphians as they lost the toss and were sent in to bowl first.
Here at Church Street quite often, as we saw it against the Raptors and such. He goes to the big reverse sweep, big appeal, and the finger's given. Looking for something indeed special. That one just evades.
Beautifully bowled.
Oh, the finger was lifted.
But Richard Allen was in a hurry, scoring 67 from 33.
Always be easy. Let's see how he closes this out.
This time more flight on offer, and it's just over the top of the infield. It's going to be another forward.
Absolute pie in the first ball of the game. Bowled a full toss. Shocking bowling.
Richard Allen
continues.
Richard Allen gets it going. Again, he's not going to slow down for anybody. That's a forward down the ground. Got off from the back foot very, very quickly. And Philadelphians, really the only problem, the thorn in the side of the Philadelphians today. And there's the top edge you're looking for, Dane. It was slower in the air. And Mario Rampersad never going to make a mistake. Easiest catch of the day.
With Allen out of the way, Philly slowed the bleeding, but the Cavaliers would go on to post 163 for 9.
But again, yesterday bowling the super over, so there's a lot of faith. Oh my goodness, that's a big shot. The windshield's in front. No, windshield is safe. Just pummeled that into the side screen.
Touch too full. How does he respond? Comes down the track, and he's been bowled. If he missed it, it was always going to hit. He slowed it down, and Asif was through the shot before it ever got to him.
Catch it. Out.
Never going to be a mistake. It was a full toss there. He found another outside edge.
Syed Abdullah, Milan Kamar, and Kareem Agor were in fine knock and helped Philly compile the runs, keeping pace with the Cavaliers.
Good for Syed Abdullah. And that's why that one's hit out there. Didn't matter if you had 11 guys there, because that one's over the top of the infield. The outfield has hit the light pole. It's over the fence over there as well. This time well down the leg side, short again. He's able to push it behind the corner. Not a great delivery. It spun back a touch, but not enough to create any problems for Syed. What a shot that was from Kareem Agor, fresh to the crease. That's a second delivery, and the second delivery gets sent over cow corner for 6.
This is over that has to be bowled.
This one up in the air, and it was wide, it was short, and he split the gap out there on the offside. It's 4 runs, but here we go. Second delivery of the over, Najib Shah coming into Kareem Agor. It's hit straight back down the ground. I think he's going to go all the way. Good effort there from the fielder, but he's just not quick enough. It was hit firmly, struck firmly, straight back. This one short, wide, should be put away, and it is. Looks like it was one bounce over the rope. That is the signal from the umpire. Again, he's bowled a couple of those, and all of them have been punished. This time came down the track. Has he been stumped this time? Yes, the finger has been raised this time. No mistake from Abhishek Prabhu.
Heading into the final over, the Philadelphians required only 7 runs from 6 balls to win.
Kareem Agor goes full straight. It's a great delivery. It's hit straight back, and that is going to be 50, but they're pushing for 2. Jonathan Fu is going to get back. Kareem Agor.
Oh, my goodness.
And he is out. He gets 50, and he's run out. Najib Shah didn't touch the ball. It was a great throw in from the deep, and you can see he's hurt himself on the process, which is not something you want to see either.
But Najib Shah was at his best for the Cavs, and Philly could only tie the game.
It's hit, and he squeezed it out. Are they going to push for 2? It looks like Jonathan Fu shut it down. Jonathan Fu shut it down. Liam Plunkett was eager, and that's it. It is going to be a super over. Consecutive super overs at Churchill Park.
After putting up only 6 runs in their turn, Philly were staring their second straight super over loss in the face.
Going to be at least 1. They should push for 2.
Got to go back. Got to go back.
Throw comes in nicely, but it's away from the stumps.
No, not a good throw, unfortunately, but yes. And it's Shandapul Hemraj and Mr. Xavier Marshall to come out and try to get these runs.
Again, for Philly, they're a good fielding side, but a lot of pressure now. Again, 7 from 6.
Maybe Liam would try and play a wide sort of slower ball, breaking away from Shandapul Hemraj, but here we go.
Here we go indeed. It's angled in. It's a Yorker. It's dug out well. And it is just going to be 1. So again, 6 from 5.
Here we go.
And the tactics on full
wide
display
Yorker here. They're going to try to get Xavier Marshall, maybe just to flay a couple down to Drysdale, the deep point. Interesting to see if they don't get 2 from this.
The call for a wide Yorker.
Oh.
It's straight. There is a mid-wicket they put in place. They're going to push for 2.
Barrier. That's 1.
Just 1.
Game on still.
Again, the Philadelphians very sharp in the field. They're quick to get the ball in their hands, quick to get rid of it as well.
They're scared the coach might just fling a beamer at them.
Liam Plunkett into Hemraj. He gets a hold of this one. Has he got all of it? No fielder there. And he takes it. And it is the dot ball you're looking for. It looked like Hemraj might have gotten it at first. Mario Ramprasad with a jump. He's picked out. It looks like Jonathan Fu in the deep.
Face off. He has a big decision to make. Who's going to follow him? Might be Richard Allen. Looks like it. You think about yourself. You think about how execution is. The captaincy. Gray has come. It's all for protecting runs. Here we go.
5 from 3. It's again a full toss. Mid-wicket is there. And it's just going to be 1.
From 2. Good fielding.
Again.
Brilliant fielding.
Brilliant, like you said, the throw right on cue.
Let's make a call here. What do you think? Inside edge 4?
I think that would
Chop onto the stumps? Top edge to Syed Abdullah? What's the call?
Everything is on offer here, Daniel.
Maybe it's an off-cutter Malinga style to Shardul Thakur in the 1 IPL final. No one saw that slow ball coming.
No one saw that slower ball coming. No one saw that decision to come so quickly either.
Exactly.
Worked out.
Or maybe a dodgy wide call from the umpire.
It all could happen. All happening at the moment.
Oh!
Ramp shot there. Has he beaten the man in the deep?
Drysdale's got there.
He has. They're going to push.
Is it on chance? Is it on chance?
Oh my goodness! I think he's made it. Oh, he's giving it! Done. And that is the match! Richard Allen! Richard Allen could not get in. I'm not sure about the call, but that is the call. Richard Allen could not get in. And this time, the Philadelphians on the right side of the super over. They are celebrating. Liam Plunkett delivers a beautiful over. Dane, what a match.
What a match. What a game of cricket. A fantastic, fantastic spectacle here at Church Street Park.
The 2 games this weekend, both in super overs. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Not really. And that was kind of like tense moment, pressure, and we pulled off the second one today.
I've been in a couple of super overs, but I've escaped ball in the last over. But obviously, being a senior bowler here, I asked to do it. I got asked to do it. So I was happy to take that role on today. Yesterday, I thought we actually bowled well in super over with them guys, played a few good shots, and also then you're chasing a high total, which we didn't quite get. But it was a good game. It's good competitive cricket, and that's why I came here to help push that. Obviously, I'm playing here with a good group of guys who are very skillful. But it's just we're bringing some good cricket knowledge, and hopefully I can help these youngsters through, and we can keep winning, and hopefully see some silverware at the end of this tournament.
The Philadelphians would end the weekend with a loss to Atlanta Lightning, but that will be nothing more than a footnote compared to the unprecedented thrill of back-to-back super overs. And the next time Philly is in town, you can expect to see more magic under the lights at Church Street Park.
Well, how great is Church Street Park? We got to see it to start the season last year here on July 4th weekend, and hopefully come August 5th, we'll get more and more games and more exciting finishes at Church Street Park. I remember calling those 2 games, and it was absolutely berserk. I had Nate Hayes on one of the calls. I had Dane Pete on the other one, so it was great to have all those guys involved. And again, Liam and those guys will be competing in the Eastern Conference, and it's now time for the Western. But before we jump into that, July 4th weekend was incredible, Nate.
Oh, 100%, and we're going to get, like you said, all these wonderful new updates to Church Street Park. So yeah, but July 4th weekend, what a memorable weekend. We had, I think, 7 games here that weekend. So it was just really busy, and every game went right down to the wire, as they tend to do here at Church Street Park. And I tend to believe that when you have a ground like this and you have people who want to come out and watch the games, which is a big key, especially at night here. We get a lot of people to come out to watch the games. The players all play at their best, I think. You know, when you have a nice ground with a good outfield, the outfield is such an underrated part of cricket. Everybody talks about the hybrid and the turf and whatnot, but outfield is very important too. And when you have a beautiful ground like this, everyone gives it their best. So wouldn't you say so, Dane?
Yeah, no, it's always fun playing here. I love any time of the day the games that's played here, because the crowd comes in, you know, the young TCL boys or the designated ball boys around the ground cheering us on, and then the night games where everyone comes back from after work, and they sit on the bleachers and support the team. So it's always a nice atmosphere. It's probably the best in the country. I think it will still be the best in the country because it's easy accessible, you know, and the community in this area, it's all cricket loving. So it's always fun, and especially on July 4th. I mean, every game was action packed. I remember the last game, and this is a shout out to Pat, the curator. The last game of the competition, we scored 180, and the Yorkers got short by like 8 runs, I think it was. And that was about 8 to 9 games played over the weekend. So the pitch held up, the crowds were fantastic. It was just a great weekend of cricket.
Yeah, great weekend of cricket indeed. And again, we'll get plenty more of those at Church Street Park and across the country. And if we look to Chicago, we'll have those draft results come out. But we'll just preview these pre-draft squads. First up, we'll start with arguably the biggest surprise of 2022, the Chicago Tigers, a newly formed team last year. They end up getting second in the Central, and they'll once again be led by Calvin Savage, who was picked up by the Texas Super Kings in Major League Cricket. They also add Cody Chetty to the squad. Nate, but there's a name here I know you will see missing from this squad.
Yeah,
Saad Ali.
No, well, Saad Ali's missing from this squad. We see him over with the Chicago Blasters. But my buddy from Africa, Whose name I suddenly forgot. Can you give me a hand?
Well, you got Sammy Sohail.
Sammy Sohail, that's the name. I can't believe I just forgot his name because honestly he's one of my favorite cricketers. So there you go. That's how bad my brain is. But Sammy Sohail, who helped that team, I think Calvin Savage. You can't overstate how important Calvin is. If you look at the advanced stats on this team, they really didn't have a whole lot of business being in the playoffs. It's kind of an anomaly that they made it there, but they did so because they had as you mentioned before, it's so important to have a team where guys are cohesive, where they care about each other and they care about the result of the team. And I think that Chicago Tigers team, to me, was a tight unit. You said Sammy Sohail, young player, tremendous player right now internationally in associate cricket, and he's going to be missed. Now he's currently playing he's playing his summer in England. So that accounts for his absence.
A guy like Marcus Ackerman that was
Ackerman was very good. Yeah,
he came in, left-handed batsman, played exceptionally well for them.
Right.
I know him from South Africa too, so he was an important player. And you know, the number 3 position in T20 cricket really goes under the radar. It's important, but they replaced him with Cody Chetty, and he bats at 3. So
very good choice.
Very, very good choice. I know that his team is not involved in the minor league this year. Cody's the LA Master Blasters, so that's why Calvin was on the blower real quick to Cody to try and get him over to come play for Chicago. So you'll add a lot of consistency in performance because he's a really good batsman. And there's a phrase that we use in cricket: he hits in awkward areas. So he kind of hits like not like Sky, the Indian batsman, but he does sort of manipulate the ball into different areas, over point, through third man, steps inside, flicks it over a square leg, just beats square leg to the right. So those type of ways that he plays, it's really, really good to watch.
And that would be fun to see him bat alongside Calvin, because two very different types of players.
Yes.
Cody much more wristy, able to work it in behind square, and Calvin's just going to go and beat you straight back in the V kind of area.
The most important thing for me is we've mentioned it all along. Them playing on hybrid is going to be the key in how they adapt to it. Because I know that the Midwest boys have been brought up playing on Astro.
Right.
So now this is probably going to be their biggest test. But a pickup like Cody definitely puts a lot of solidity in your batting lineup.
Right, yeah, like, you know, we talked about Calvin with the bat. What about with the ball? In the power play, he's a very good bowler. They actually did a lot of damage in their power play with the ball last year. And then, obviously, Sammy Sohail came in in the death, and he got a lot of his wickets that way. But they'll be missing that, so they're going to want to replace that in the draft if they can. Sammy Sohail's a tough guy to replace in a domestic, in a local draft. But what do you think that they would like to put in this team? What kind of roles do you think they're going to want to fill?
Yeah, you're going to want that wicket-taking bowler, and they brought back Prithvi Patel, who played as more as an all-rounder for them, but was a bowling all-rounder, picked up I believe 16 wickets last season. So he's someone that they can rely on, and they're going to hope takes another big step. But you're going to try to fill out just more and more bowlers. I don't think you can quite find somebody who takes in the Seattle case scenario, you're not going to find someone who takes 43 wickets in a season, but you can find a group of guys who can go and do something similar in the sense of restricting and just do it, let's say in the NFL, running back by committee, have a bowling by committee kind of option.
Sure. Yeah, they got Karen Kumar coming back, who's been in that area for quite some time. Yeah, that's good for them too.
Yeah, and the other team in Chicago, you mentioned it, is going to be the Blasters. They're back, and they came off a winless season in 2022, and so they're going to want to bounce back in quite a big way. And one of the efforts they made was signing Tajinder Singh as their domestic wildcard to pair alongside Saad Ali. So they're going to make sure they have some batting after last year. Their batting kind of was disappointing for them.
Oh yeah, they've had a couple of rough seasons where last season they had a few really good players on the squad, but they just couldn't put it together. They finished as the number 2 team in Chicago basically, and towards the bottom of the league. But I think that they look a little bit better right now. Just adding Tajinder Singh is a massive step for them. Now, however, this, as we'll see as the draft goes on, the Central Division this year is pretty tricky. There's a lot of excellent players in this league, but they've got Kevin Phillip, the youngster.
Kevin, yeah. Big fan of Kevin. Yeah. Really good player. I hope he gets a good run and in a position that he can play. He's a top order batsman. Unfortunately, you see in some teams they ownership and the management, or the leadership, I should say, put the young players down, batting at number 8 when they're not really number 8 batsmen. So I'm a big believer, if you're a top order batsman, get the chance, learn, or excel in that position. So hopefully he gets a good run. He's an exceptionally talented player, a big fan of him. Worked with him at the Under-21 Championship. Really, really impressive player.
Yeah, also someone who can bowl some leg spin. So if you do
and keep with batting pads on.
There you go. So he's an all-rounder in the truest sense. Kevin Phillip is. So that'd be a good use for them. They also do have Zio Huck. They bring him back, so a guy to open the bowling for them. But again, I think what let them down a lot last year was their batting. So for them, you saw it straight away going after those two, Tajinder Singh, Saad Ali up top, and now I think that's what you're going to see in the draft. Probably get that batting depth involved, not just be a top-heavy lineup.
Right, yeah, and one player we're not seeing on the roster this season is Fahad Babar, who has long been, he formerly represented USA Cricket, but he's always been a talented, batsman in the USA. He's a fighter, he's a battler, and missing him, we'll see what happens here if he's a draft player or not. But he does spend a lot of time, training in Pakistan and whatnot. But very good player, and we'll see where he ends up.
Yeah, again, and actually, funny story about Kevin Phillip, with just tailing back. I remember seeing him back in St. Louis last year, and the first season was on the team that wasn't the Chicago Blasters. They went winless. Last year, on the winless Chicago Blasters, and he just says to me, man, all I want to do is win one minor league cricket game. So I think all of us, whether you're playing the Blasters this season or whatever, I think you're going to hope that Kevin Phillip gets his wish and gets that one minor league cricket win under his belt. We're seeming to have a little bit of issues here with the draft. They're still making their selections, and we'll get you those as they continue to come out. We do have some videos available for us, and so we'll cut to a couple of those videos that we do have planned out as we wait for these teams to continue to make these picks. Stay with us throughout this entire broadcast as we continue to give you the draft picks of this 2023 minor league season.
On with me now to preview the West. We're going to talk about the domestic keepers, basically, and what each team needs. Is Joe Hickey, the West correspondent. Joe.
In the world of professional sports, a draft is a validating moment for an athlete and a franchise. It can define the style and personality of a team for years to come. International superstars have earned their fame and fortune through hard work, stellar performances, and a little bit of luck. Aspiring cricketers everywhere dream of joining their ranks, but everyone needs a platform. Here in the USA, that platform is Major League Cricket, and Draft Day is finally here.
Yeah, I came here on a bit of a wish, flying out here from Utah just a few days ago, knowing that, hey, my chances of getting into this to see this draft were minute. They were minuscule, but I said, hey, you know what? I got to shoot my shot and take a chance, and that's why I'm out here in Houston today.
Yeah, it's exciting. It looks amazing. This is a great setup. I think the excitement's real for everyone. It's a big step for cricket in the USA and a big step for all of us. So yeah, everyone's really excited.
I mean, I'm flexible. Any team which picks me, I'll be more than happy to showcase my skills and talent in any team, whatever they pick me.
It's going to be an exciting night, Nikhil. What a place to be. One small step for man, but a giant leap for Major League Cricket.
And we're minutes away, seconds away, really, from getting our first team on the clock. Who do you think the Orcas could be looking at?
I think there's a couple of options here, Nikhil. I think one guy who just fits in is Harmeet Singh. I think also someone you're going to look at is the leading run scorer in all of minor league cricket. But Mukchand is an option.
With the first pick of the MLC domestic draft, Seattle Orcas select Harmeet Singh.
Expected. I think it's expected here.
Washington Freedom, you are now on the clock.
Nico just made sense, right? The guy who's played in Seattle, someone who has that tie, and someone who's just dominated the entirety of minor league cricket. You can see him shaking hands with the commissioner, Justin Gill, and it's a special moment. We're launching Major League Cricket.
Great. I told you I was nervous a little bit, but it feels
I'm ecstatic actually to be representing Seattle again. I love winning. You know me. I would give my absolute everything to make sure that Seattle wins again.
Unbelievable scenes at North Carolina Morrisville.
And now the intriguing is, where do we go with number 2?
Well, let's go back to our commissioner, Mr. Justin Gill, who has got pick number 2 already.
With the second pick, Washington Podium Select, Andres House.
Andrew Scout selected Aaman Patel. That is a huge pick. This is a guy that has grown leaps and bounds since coming to this country.
Washington, D.C. You get to represent our nation's capital. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, that is very exciting. To be honest, I'm ecstatic about this.
He's going to be a special future pick for that Washington franchise. Let's go back to our commissioner, who's got pick number 3 from the MI New York.
With their first pick, MI New York Select, Stephen Taylor.
Stephen Taylor. Wow. That's some selection when you think about it. He's currently on international duty with the USA, so he's not going to be here to attend this. But Aaman Patel, you look at this man's T20 international numbers. He's 19th ranked one-day international batter in the world right now. He has dominated associate white ball cricket.
Has an international T20 100. I'm surprised. And honestly, I wasn't sure where he was going to go. I knew he could be a first-round draft pick. But to see him this high, I love it as someone who's called games for him, someone who's from the USA.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Stephen Taylor. I was really excited. I was not surprised to see him go first round, though. Stephen's one of the guys that I look up to, and one of the reasons that I kind of had an aspiration to play for USA when he came to Church Street all those years ago and won that game against Canada. So, yeah, absolutely, 100% excited and really excited to see him go first round.
A little bit of anxiety, to be honest. I know leaving the hotel with all the rest of the group as well, there was definitely, I think, the last couple of years have built up to this. There's a few nervous boys walking around just trying to figure out where they're going, who they're going to, what round, all the very typical things that happen at a draft or an auction. So it's exciting.
Number 4, the San Francisco Unicorn Select, Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson, I mean, you know exactly what you're getting with this man. The man that, in terms of the reputation he's left in international cricket, probably the most experienced and most esteemed sort of repertoire when you look coming into this draft.
Second fastest ODI 100 to date, and he's just someone, again, brings that leadership, but I think the X factor here is that he's back with the ball in hand. We knew he was fantastic in the field, knew he was fantastic with the bat, but I think he's in some of the best shape of his
With their
life.
first pick, the Los Angeles Knight Riders select Ali Khan.
No surprise here, Nico. Ali Khan, he's someone who's not here on international duty, but he's done so much with the Knight Riders. When you talk about, was in the IPL there with them and then down in the CPL. He's someone that they carry around, and maybe the quickest bowler you have in the USA. Yorker, king, just electric with the ball in hand. No surprise for me.
A little bit of relief sitting there watching a first few go up, obviously. Builds the nerves and finding out where everyone's going. But yeah, super excited about San Francisco, obviously with Victoria having a great, setup with what they've got. I'm really excited, obviously, to get involved with them and start the process. I know.
What do you think about that?
It's huge for Rusty. Huge for Rusty.
That is a huge surprise, and you can see the excitement on his face. I don't think anyone in this room expects him to go so early, but the quality experience with the 37-year-old. He's played for South Africa. He's played a plethora of matches for the USA as well.
Being another great collaborator in Team Texas, couldn't be more thrilled to go with them and represent the great state of Texas. As I mentioned earlier, very excited and very grateful to put my body on the line and give 100% and come out on top.
They've got the fast bowling. Surely they must be looking at some batting now.
You have to imagine, again, this is the beauty of the snake draft. Yes, you have that last pick, and I think they were looking at Rusty the whole way through. Now, what do you do with this first pick? I think there's some interesting questions here. The batting, Unmukchand is still on the board, but do they turn the table and say there's not many quality all-rounders? Do they take a Calvin Savage? Do they take a Shadley Van Skalkovic? I think those options are still on the board because there's plenty of batting depth.
With the first pick of the second round, Team Texas selects Calvin Savage. LA Knight Riders, you're on the clock.
We said it, Nikhil, plenty of batting depth, but it's the all-rounding depth that isn't there. And Calvin Savage, he's someone who's absolutely phenomenal. Chicago Tigers, they know it.
You have no idea. When they said my name, I couldn't believe it for a second. I had to blink a couple times, and I wasn't like ready. My phone was all over the place. It's an incredible feeling. I'm so blessed and so thankful.
With their second pick, Los Angeles Knight Riders select Unmuk Chand.
Unmuk Chand, a man that, of course, captained the India under-19 side back in that 2012 World Cup, got 100 in that final as well, and is so well known not only in this country but globally.
I mean, we have been waiting for this moment for the last 2-3 years since we've been here in the US, and finally it's happening. So it's pretty exciting. I think it's a great day for US cricket as such, and pretty excited to go into the draft. You know, whichever team I go to, we better win that tournament.
The San Francisco Unicorns select Liam Plunkett.
I'm excited. I mean, how can you not be excited when you come to a venue like this? I think people have spoke many times. I've spoke to you before, one of my first interviews. Can't believe cricket's actually here, and have professional cricket here. A draft day like this, and to get picked up, I'm excited. Also join Corey, who I've been close with since I've been here. We can obviously add that international experience. We are now locals, but hopefully we can contribute to that team and be successful.
With their second pick, MI New York selects Hamad Azam. Washington Freedom, you are back on the clock.
Of course, like I'm really very nervous, and I'm really excited to be part of Mumbai Indian. Like, of course, that's a big franchise in the world, so I'm really excited to play for them.
I think we had a pretty good draft. We had a plan, but in a draft it's tough to, you know, get exactly what you want. But I thought, you know, we managed to execute at least the top 3-4 players that we wanted. We got there because obviously other teams had other requirements, like who were they looking at. So we were quite happy. I mean, very happy with the experienced guys that we got. Once we have the entire group together, you'll see it's a very all-round squad. Jack was brilliant because he had a lot of experience in US cricket, had a lot of knowledge about the players.
Yeah, Washington Freedom, we're really happy. We've probably got 90% of our choices, which I think in a draft situation is excellent. Especially our second pick in the draft, we weren't sure if our couple of choices for batters would be there, and they were both there, so it made it a difficult choice for us. But yeah, I was really happy with how it went out. We've got a really good balance of skill sets throughout. The way it turned out, we actually got a balance of demographic as well from around the world too in our local players, which is great. We obviously have Hasaranga, who we announced tonight as one of our high-profile overseas players as a leg spinner. We had Obus, who can bowl, part-time left arm orthodox. So we wanted an off spinner who could bowl with a new ball, and to be honest, both of those two can do it. Dan more experienced. Akhilesh, we can see someone who could probably come in and play and do a role, but also, a bit of a longer-term project who we can keep developing. The experience for him to learn off Dane, but also, some of our Australian coaches and international players for him. Imagine like him working with someone like Hasaranga. It's going to be fantastic for him, and he'll only get, a lot out of it.
We got lucky. We got the first draft pick, and we got the player we wanted. And, I think we got what we wanted, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So.
Well, that was an incredible night, that Major League Draft night. It was unbelievable being there in the NASA Space Center, the Visitor Center, and it was unbelievable being there alongside Nikhil Uttamachandi and then just seeing all the picks happen. It was such a quick pace, and it was really exciting, and it almost made us start twirling our brains. What can we do for this minor league draft show, and thinking how minor league is a route to the major league. And Nate, that's what we saw, because days like this, yeah, to the casual person isn't really a big deal. But when you talk about what each individual player can bring. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Akalish Bogdam on this day was said, hey, you're coming to Seattle, and then comes out, takes the wicket of Stephen Taylor in the final to help Seattle win the tournament. So it's a huge day for these guys and these teams.
Yeah, the draft and also the movements that happen ahead of the draft really help shape the player's future. As you mentioned, Akalish Bogdam, he played in Atlanta the year before, ended up playing in Seattle, where he played amongst a group of very good players. This is why it's so good to get on a team of very good players, because you can really dig in on a role. And when you establish yourself as a high-performing role player, that's appealing to a major league team, which is going to be fleshed out with a lot of high-end international players. And so you're going to have 6 of them on a squad. And you're going to have, you get past the first 3 or 4 rounds in the major league draft, and you're getting into role players. What can this guy do very, very well? And it can be just one thing. Obviously everyone has to be able to field, but a guy like Bogdam, he's not going to come out. He's not an all-rounder. So when a guy like him gets a chance to transfer, to move to Seattle, to play for a team that's got the depth that they do, where he can establish himself as an elite role player, it's very appealing. It was very appealing to the Washington franchise, who picked him up, and they also picked up Dane, who, by the way, Dane had to leave us, but they also picked up Dane, who could be a mentor to a guy like Akalish Bogdam, and this is what this day is all about. It's all about teams, not just the teams fleshing themselves out, not just the teams filling their rosters, but the players finding a place where they can grow and they can prosper and they can fulfill their potential, like Akalish did there. And that's why this is such an exciting time. We were seeing some of these teams come together. We were both very excited about the East results because it made sense. It's fun seeing where the pieces need to fall, and then you see the pieces fall there, and that's very exciting. We get to see what the potential that these players have. And so that's what that video was about. I was down there at the draft. I made that video, by the way, and
props to Nate Haynes.
I got to tell you, Aaman, I was very impressed with you, all the way over there. But I was very impressed with you because I was definitely trying to distract you when you were on camera. Making some faces and stuff, standing, because it was at the NASA Space Center down there, and so there were all these props, and I was like behind the prop at one point, like trying to make faces at you. But you and Nikhil are proper professionals, and you both did a tremendous job. It was great. I mean, we both got to work with Nikhil a lot last season on the premium content, so that was great. You continued that into the major league draft, and now here we are at the minor league draft show.
Still making faces at you.
Still making faces at you. Sans Dane Pete. Actually, I did do an Instagram live while you were introing the entire show.
That did happen.
But here we are at Church Street Park doing the minor league show. Which is the second half of the Major League Minor League partnership, as we both know, and we had some issues with the Chicago draft, so they're moved on. Currently, right now, we are in the midst of the Texas zone draft for the Central, and we will see how that shapes up. But let's talk about some of these teams, in the Central, and this is definitely the most interesting conference right now because of a lot of reasons. One of them is that there's a new team in Dallas, and so now it is a 8-team division, and so it was hard last year to make the playoffs. It's going to be even harder this year to make the playoffs, but 8 teams in this division, and so many of them are super good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with the team that proved that it might not have been that hard because they just didn't lose. The Dallas Mustangs. No one could really beat this team, and when you talk about the Dallas Mustangs, they still have all those pieces, and then they brought in some superstars. Ihsan Adil as their domestic wild card, and Andreas Kaus, Nauman Anwar, Ahmad Azam, all as priority domestics. They add that to a list of Corey Anderson, and just the list goes on and on and on for that team. This is a team that's going to make some waves because you still have Ali Sheikh there, you still have Nostos Kenjige, Sujat Gowda still there. Like, this is a team that was really good last season, made the playoffs, and they're saying we're not going anywhere this season.
Yeah, it's an incredible team. right now, as you mentioned, all those names. We could talk about, as I said before, about the New Jersey Stallions. It's a sign of a good team when you can talk about every single player in a moment that you saw them where they really featured and they really helped their team out last season. And this is one of those teams where you can find something about every one of these players and you can say, oh, I remember when he did this. And most of these guys, you don't even think about a single moment. You think about just the entire package of the player that's there. We've got Andres House, who absolutely phenomenal cricketer, and he starred for Seattle. Helped them win the championship last season. He got drafted into Major League Cricket very high.
Number 2 overall pick.
Number 2 overall. It's funny how that Seattle team had the first 2 picks in the Major League draft. They produced the first 2 picks in the Major League draft. But yeah, Andres House, who amazing player in the power play. He manages to play very good, safe cricket shots, find gaps, and score at a high rate in the power play while he's warming up. And he's really great at clearing the circle on the offside. He was great at he's good at everything.
Let's try to find a weakness on Andres House. I think that'd be quicker for us to do rather than to say what he's good at, because it doesn't seem to be any weaknesses in his game. And again, for those fans, he's a conventional cricketer. He's not going to wow you away with playing the reverse shots and the scoops and everything, but he can hit you down the ground through covers and just find gaps. And that's the brilliant thing about watching him bat.
Right.
I think someone else. Corey Anderson, yes, that name pops out.
Sure.
But I think he is the truest Corey Anderson we've seen in the USA. I was there at the Combine before the MLC draft, and he was bowling the best I've seen him bowl since coming to the USA. He looked fitter than he's ever looked, and that's something to really see coming into minor league cricket on August 5th.
Yeah, he's definitely the fittest that I've seen him since he's been in the USA. And that's a great thing. You know, we talked about, the big question heading into that camp was, is Corey Anderson going to bowl? And how much is he going to bowl in the camp? And he certainly impressed enough people to go very high for the Unicorns. I believe he was their very first pick. So, then you got Nauman Anwar coming over to the team as if they needed him.
Yeah. Again, we talk about batting depth. This is what batting depth is. And it's not just depth that, okay, these are some local cricketers. These are guys who are top 75 players in the league, top 100 players in the league, and they're going to make an impact on a really good Dallas Mustangs team.
Right. And my buddy Tom Nielsen, who I've featured on the Minor League Cricket Show a few times, he's going to be the correspondent for the Minor League Cricket Show for the Central this year. He follows the Central Division incredibly closely, and he's got to be very excited about this. Unfortunately, I couldn't get him on for a preview because he's on a family vacation, but I wanted to give him a shout out because he's such a big part of helping make this, the coverage of the league go. He's always been a very helpful person to me, and I'm looking forward to chatting with him quite a lot about this division. But yeah, we could talk. I think we could talk about, yes, it's a shame that we had to kind of skip over the Chicago part of the draft, for now at least, because there were technical issues there. But it's given us more time to talk about the Dallas Mustangs, which I think we could fill up the entire segment.
I mean, we still haven't even touched on Ali Sheikh, right? He was probably the biggest standout through the MLC Combine, through all 3 phases, proved that he can bowl in the depth, proved that he can bat in big spots with big players, and that's the thing that he brings. He brings an X factor as an under-21. The reason why the LA Knight Riders took him so high was the first under-21 player to go off the board. Didn't even have to wait till the under-23 round there. So that's the value that he adds to this team, and he's there. You also have another left-arm spinner, Nashlos Kenjige, who we know Nate Hayes loves, maybe the best smile in all the country. So again, this is a team loaded, and they bring a lot of characters back. We talk about that consistency, and then adding some real flair.
Yeah, this is, anytime you got Nosh, okay, Nosh exploded last year with the bat. So he's been building to that crescendo for a couple of years. If you talk to him and talk about his training and the amount of people that he's worked with that have helped him with his batting over the recent years, last year he put it all together and got results. We've seen flashes in the pan for him. I believe Peter Della Penna said that Nosh has the most not outs in U.S. history, because he tends to bat down at the bottom of the order there. But last year, as an all-rounder, as a bowling all-rounder, he absolutely performed out of his mind for Dallas, but it wasn't a big surprise. We all kind of saw this coming. He's a hard worker. He's one of those guys that they say if you're not still getting better, you're getting worse. And he's always getting better. And his fitness allows that, and that's rubbed off on a lot of people. You know, if you talk to Bert Cockley, for example, Bert will rave about a guy like Nosh. We need more Noshes. And he, to me, even before we saw the rewards of Bert Cockley's attitude rubbing off on the national product altogether, Major League, minor league, USA Cricket, the emphasis of strength and conditioning, and Liam Plunkett even brings that with him as well. That emphasis that's helping the country. Nosh has carried the flag for that long before those guys, you know, helped spread that, and that's something that's happening around the world. You need guys like these guys to help popularize the fitness aspect, because you're only as good as you are fit. If you're 100% fit, you can be 100% performer, and if you're not, you can't. So Nosh knows that. He's always known that. I've raved about that enough. We've got Sujith Gowda on the team. Sujith is a phenomenal player, a fun player to watch, another Major League cricketer. How many Major League cricketers do they have on this team? It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable, and the new Dallas team also has a couple of Major Leaguers of their own. The newly formed Dallas Zavora Giants, they will all be down there in Dallas, and they lure a couple of stars into their side. Harmeet Singh and Smit Patel will both be joining them, both of whom made key contributions for their sides on different coasts. They're going to be over there in the new team as well. So this is another team joining this division, and they're going to be competing for that top spot as well.
Oh man, I love it. You've already got the Houston Derby down there with the two Houston teams, and now you have a Dallas version. You have a Dallas rivalry going on right now. That's in an instant. We already have two very good teams in Dallas. To give Lovekesh a run for his money over there and with the other Dallas team. But here we go. We got Harmeet Singh, Smit Patel, like you said, Ramiz Raja. Like this team looks so like Ragman Dar at U21, Akhilesh Bodhagam. Akhilesh Bodhagam.
There you go. That name again. We talked about it right here last year, and he ended up being a huge contributor to a championship-winning team. Right. He do it 2 for 2, going and following his captain in Seattle, Harmeet Singh. Also, Chaitanya Bishnoi, someone who was at the combine and ended up getting selected as well. So he's someone to look out for. So this team will continue to try to add depth. I think they got a lot of stars, and the depth is going to be their key as they come into this draft. But again, another exciting team that they added to the division.
And this Dallas rivalry here is looking a lot like Atlanta. So you have one team with like 7 major leaguers, another team with 4. We haven't done the draft yet. They haven't announced their wild card. What are we going to get? What are we going to get out of this? Extend the deal with the Mustangs. It's just I'm so much looking forward to seeing what happens in the Dallas area, because it's just as exciting now as Houston. Houston's always been exciting. What we got to see in Dallas is obviously the stadium's being built right now. I believe eventually they're going to have some outlying grounds outside of the stadium where you can have minor league games. So the infrastructure is improving there, and as that improves, more people will want to move there to play, which is what's happening right now. So you're having this migration to the Dallas area partly because of this venue's going up, and that's an excellent thing. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Houston, because we could get carried away.
Absolutely,
we already kind of have. I mean, to be honest.
Well, we'll move into the Houston Hurricanes, because they don't lack star power in their own right, bringing in Saif Badar as their wild card, Mukhtar Ahmed as their domestic wild card, and they still have Ali Khan and Usman Ashraf. They joined together the Trump brothers to be their youth. I think this is another side again with Saklan Haider, with Usman Rafiq, Kartik Ettapalli. They got that core, and they've added star flair on top of it. So this is a team that's going to continue to compete in this division.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent team. They had a bad year last year. They have good leadership though. Usman Rafiq, I think, is a good captain. They had to overcome a lot last year. The interesting thing to me is the wicketkeeper Trump coming over to join his brother. When you have Saklan Haider in Saklan, one of the most fun wicket keepers to watch.
Absolutely. Always has something to say behind the stumps.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he makes some of the most incredible stops back there, and I love watching the guy. And also, kind of a wild batter too. To be honest, he's a fun batter to watch because you have no idea what that guy's going to do.
Is he going to bat right-handed, left-handed? Is he going to line up straight across?
What in the world is he going to do? You know it's going to be entertaining, though.
That's all that you're looking for, the entertainment value. So he can bring that finisher role to that side. But you did mention, bringing in the wicketkeeper of Trump. How does he fit in? How does Joshua Trump fit in with this 11? Is he consistently in the 11? Because we know the quality bat that he is, and they can play as that under 21 as well.
Right, and let's go back to 2021 when you had Slade van Staden on that team, and he's now performing incredibly well at first class in South Africa. He's playing fairly regularly in first-class cricket. He played against Oman the other day, and he scored a century. So and then that's tremendous. Oman has got some of the best players in associate cricket. So if he ever comes back and plays in the minor league, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a Houston team. But right now we're talking about Matthew Trump, Joshua Trump. Matthew was phenomenal last year with the ball and batted well when he had his chances. He had a couple of innings there. That's what you want to see from a young guy like him. You want to see 1 or 2 innings where you really see what they can do, and he gave that last year. Kartik Kadapalli, my goodness, how overlooked is he because of how many people there are that do his role well in the USA. That doesn't diminish the fact that he's a tremendous role player.
How many
for that
times
team.
do we talk about him?
We've talked about him so many times.
We were talking about him,
and I don't think we never talked about him enough.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and he just keeps coming up in conversations. And when you have a guy like that who can fill that role, wicket taker in the middle,
right?
He's going to be very valuable.
Right. And one thing here, Ali Khan, CPL, conflict there. We're not going to, once again, it's such a tragic thing.
We've seen him a couple of times, and you showed him flashes of those Yorkers, like, yes, this is what we're looking for.
Right.
We can't wait to have a full season of it.
Right.
It just hasn't quite hit, so we're going to hope a couple seasons down the line we can get a full year of Ali Khan. But
I really do think that we should lobby the CPL to change their calendar. I think that minor leagues should probably take precedent over the CPL at this point.
That's what Nate Hayes says. Everybody.
I'm just
send that clipping to the CPL.
No,
so clip that part out and send that one to the CPL. We'll move on to the Lone Star Athletics. However,
first I want to mention Hamza Bangash, who that team has relied on a lot in clutch situations, and I think he's going to take the experiences he's had from the last 2 years, and take a next step for that team to help them in the clutch. Now we saw some heartbreaking stuff from him in the past, and we saw some heroic stuff from him in the past. That's what makes a good death bowler. That's what makes somebody who can perform at the end of the game is somebody who can go through those lumps and come back tomorrow and having just taken the lumps and provide the goods. And I think that he's always moving towards that, and I'd like to see him take that next step.
Absolutely, and talking about the next step, we'll talk about the final Texas side, the Lone Star Athletics. And they pick up a big acquisition of their own. They didn't miss out on the party. They get Milind Kumar from the Philadelphians, so they lure him into the Texas area to kind of go with this team that, I think one of their most exciting players is their under-19, Josh Sedapala, the left-arm spinner. I think he is one of their more exciting players. They also bring in Shubham Ranjane from the Seattle Thunderbolts, so they're not a side that missed out on any of these guys either.
No, this is a side that's definitely looked like it's improved in some aspects pretty well. Milind Kumar, like you said, was a really good player for Philadelphians last year, one of the top scorers in the East, and I think his bowling I think moving to the Central will help his bowling a little bit too, because he'll be back on turf regularly. I think that always helps you when you're a spinner, and spinners in the East get eaten up pretty good because the grounds aren't very big, and then you have you had up until now a lot of Astro, so I think that'll help him with his bowling. Shubham Ranjane, like you said, one of the big key players for Seattle, great all-rounder, huge performer here. It's finals weekend. Like he was absolutely lights out. Lax Parekh, who didn't play a ton last season. I think he had some studies that were getting in the way or something. But he's backlisted as an age group player again, and we've seen him take a lot of wickets with his buddy Shayan Jahangir coming up on to the stumps when he's bowling, nailing the batter down in the crease. So I think that's great. Like I said, Shayan Jahangir, we can't say enough good things about him. He's played his way right into the USA national team. So Nitish Kumar
Absolutely.
We could talk for hours about him too. This is a very good-looking team. I'm really pleased to see it.
Yeah, the Texas teams, again, there's a lot of shakeup, but this Lone Star Athletic team looks really good, and that's going to be really interesting as we come into the playoff time. We already talked about the Chicago teams. We previewed them, and last year we saw was the Dallas Mustangs and the Chicago Tigers.
Right.
And I think the Mustangs could be right back there. Will the Tigers be up there?
That's a cool question.
I think you could see two brand new teams as playoff teams.
You could.
Just because there's so much depth, I think, with these 8 teams in this division. Nate, what 2 or 3 teams to you stick out amongst the rest right now?
Well, I think, like you said, the 4 Texas teams, very good. The draft is going to matter a lot here. I believe you had a lot of players moving into the area, which displaced a lot of the domestic players who would have otherwise probably been retained players. So that's going to enrich the draft. I think we're going to see some names in the draft here that are going to be pretty good names, and that's going to be excellent stuff. The Lone Star team and the Hurricanes team kind of took a big step back last year. Lone Star, people don't remember, Lone Star the year before were actually, I believe, the top performing team in the regular season in the entire league. And I know that their ownership's going to want to get them right back there. They play at Moosa Stadium, which is a great ground. If you get a chance to watch the streams at Moosa, they do an excellent job there. They've got a good infrastructure for that.
Absolutely.
I think I still got to say Dallas is my favorite team in this group.
Well, which Dallas?
The Dallas Mustangs. That's a good one. Yeah, the Dallas Mustangs. So I think those are the. That's to me. They're the favorite, and the other Dallas team looks great too. But look, all the Texas teams look good. I think the Chicago teams are going to have their hands full.
Yeah, going to have their hands full indeed. And the beauty of minor league cricket is that it's not just about the minor league competition going on now, not just about major league, but also it's about the MiLC Junior Championships. And we saw a lot of those players come out in Texas and come out, to North Carolina. We got a couple of them joining us at the moment as they get into your screen. We have 2 members who play in the MiLC Junior Championship. It's Utkarsh Srivastava and Anshrai. Thank you both for joining us here. We know, it's cutting into your summer vacation, so I appreciate you guys taking out the time.
Thank you.
You guys have played a lot of cricket against a lot of cricketers across the country now. What do you think MiLC Junior has really done for you guys in your development?
Thank you, Aaman, for the introduction, and I can start off. So, MiLC Junior has been a great experience for me personally, especially playing in Houston. I've played on turf, and that's been a very good experience for me, and I've played with people all over USA. And yeah, I've just seen a lot of cricket throughout the U.S., and it's been fun figuring out how to go through different game plans and figure out how to have different approaches to different situations playing in MiLC Junior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I feel like it's helped playing more turf because here we play more Astro, and getting a turf sense helps us as a spinner, helps me a lot because the ball can turn. So playing that and playing against more experienced people helps you get yourself experience more and just helps you in your overall thinking as a cricketer.
Yeah, you mentioned going and playing in these different conditions, but also seeing people play in minor league. Talk about Dane Pete, Obis Pinar, seeing all these stars come to basically your backyard and playing in front of you. What has that experience been like over the past 2 years?
I feel like it's been good because as I said before, these people are very experienced. Dane playing in South Africa, Obis also played in South Africa, Lahiru out of state, also country. So all these people, Liam Plunkett playing for England. So I feel like all of them, they bring their experiences with them playing at a higher level, and it's going to be super helpful for us as U19 and youngsters playing with them or against them to see how they play and what their minds think. Yeah, just like Ansh said, it's such a great learning experience for us, especially people like Dane Pete who've played international cricket against India, Australia, and England. He's got Kohli out, he's got Shikhar Dhawan out, and so his mindset and how he approaches the game, it's a very good experience for us youngsters to learn.
Yeah, and now we talk about Major League Cricket, and there's going to be some matches happening here at Church Street, and you're going to get to see the likes of Anrik Nokia live up close and in person. How excited are you about that coming this July?
I feel like it's very exciting because first we get to meet them, huge international players playing against Kohli and all big stars. So I feel it's going to be a good experience playing with like people who've played international. So
yeah, I mean we just see these guys on TV, so I mean it's going to be very fun watching them close up.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate, you got anything to add?
Yeah, just you know, it's awesome being here and doing the commentary and stuff, and just being in the area, coming to Church Street Park, seeing the enthusiasm you guys have for the game. It's always fun being around you guys, and I haven't been able to watch you as much as I'd like to, but when I do, I'm always impressed with how good both of you guys are. Ansh, I umpired you one time at a basically, what was it? When they had the selection for the U19, and they did some of the younger games too at the combine. Yeah, and I umpired you, and that was honestly one of the most nervous moments of my life because you were so good that game, and they had instructed us to be extremely careful with LBWs, basically, you know, because they didn't want, you know, you should always be extremely careful. Yeah. But you were threatening with every single ball that you bowled, and you were appealing, and I was consistently not giving it to you, not giving you the wicket, and I was like trying to explain to you, but you were so mature about it. That was years ago. And you were so mature about that, but you always have had like the most beautiful action as far as most repeatable and fluid bowling action, and you could do everything as far as bowling. Like you could bowl you can bowl both styles. Yeah. And so that's just great to see. But yeah, both of you guys impressed me a ton, and so I look forward to seeing you both in a Raptors shirt like you are right now, but playing for the Raptors and performing right here at Church Street Park. And you know, you've gotten to work with Dane. He raves about both of you guys, Obus as well. So how much have you enjoyed the last couple of seasons working specifically with them, and really like with the other youth players as well? You know, how much does that matter to you?
Personally, it's been really good. Dane helped me change my action, so now I'm getting the ball to turn more on Astro, so it's helping me personally as not getting hit as much. But
right.
Even Obis, just like correcting technique and just like power hitting, so it's helped a lot.
And how about yourself?
Yeah, especially with Dane. Every time I go to practice, he doesn't just let me practice. He always asks me before I bowl or bat what my game plan is going to be and how I'm about to go in that practice and what game I'm trying to prepare for. So it's a little bit different, just not practicing, but like intending what to practice in.
Right. And that's, I think, a big part of when you get the skills, when you learn the skills, the next step is the plan. You know, and I think that's what separates the very best players is those guys, when you watch like a Jimmy Anderson or so, he's not thinking, oh, can I bowl the ball here? He knows that he can. He's thinking about the attack every time. He's thinking about the plan. He's 2 steps ahead. And I think when you have a guy like Dane here who's used to thinking that way, it rubs off on the young players, and that's to me one of the biggest benefits. Sure, the skills matter, but you have to have the confidence in yourself to make a good plan. And you're not going to be able to make a good plan and be a good strategic cricketer unless you have the confidence. So it's neat how that all works together, and it's been great to see how the quality of cricket here has grown. And you know, you've both played in Houston. We're talking about the Texas zone right now. You've both played at PVCC. You played in some of the national tournaments down there. And I think you got Yasser Muhammad out down there, didn't you?
I think so.
Was that you, or you caught him? I think you were bowling and you got him. You think so? Listen to him.
He's taking too many wickets to really remember. So
this guy's got Simon Kamala's wicket on a score sheet.
I had to screenshot it. I'm never going to lose that screenshot. Anytime he scores, I just send it to him like, hey,
he's like, yeah, I
got you out one time, and that's all I needed to do.
He's like, I think I got Yasser Muhammad. I'm not sure.
You hold on to those small battles. But I do want to ask you guys about 2018 when the USA had the series against like Canada and the Bermuda and them came over, because that was a big moment for me when I saw USA cricket being played here. I was around, I think probably 15 years old at the time, so you guys were a lot younger than that. Do you guys remember that experience, and what was that experience like for you to see these cricketers at Church Street Park then, and what's it like now seeing the kind of levels of cricket at Church Street Park now?
Yeah, I was sitting right there, right behind us in that game, and I was watching Steven Taylor hit of the 22 of that last over. So yeah, I mean, that was great. I mean, again, I don't really remember the details, but I remember just being really hype, and I'm pretty sure we all ran into the ground after the game. But yeah, the experience was very good. But now when we watched the minor league finals last year and the year before, that was also very fun because we had people from all over. We had people from Seattle, Atlanta, Philadelphia, everyone come in, and you watched the game?
Yeah, same for me. I was sitting right here. Remember all of us running in. It was super hyped. Like everyone, all like the TCO boys, a few of us were here just playing. So it was fun. Even in the minor league scenarios, everyone.
Yeah, it's an incredible atmosphere at Church Street Park when everyone gets out here, and just I remember when I'm on a comm break every now and again, I'll just step out and I'm like, wow, this is super cool to feel the energy, and it's because of you guys coming out and supporting the cricket.
100%.
Love seeing you guys run after the ball too. There's always a battle. Who's going to get the ball to throw it in? I love seeing that, the little battles within the battle.
These guys are getting a lot more cool for that right now at this age. But yeah, that definitely, you're right. You're spot on, Aaman. That's what makes it special coming to the ground, coming to Church Street Park. It's the young players like you guys who are enthusiastic, who have to be around the game. And the funny thing is, a lot of the young guys are out there, bowling to each other on the sidewalk and just playing the whole time. And then afterwards, you ask them about the game, and they know everything that happened. Like, how did you know you were just bowling to each other the whole time? How do you know what happened? But they do. The kids get really into it here. It's the best part of the league. So we've got some draft picks already. You want to start getting in on those?
Yeah, so before we do get into those, thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate you taking some time out, and hopefully we'll see you guys out here pretty soon.
Thank you, Aaman.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep. And again, we have more picks coming here in the Texas area, and we have the picks rolling in as the draft is back up and active, and we'll just go through the list straight through. So the Athletics had the first pick, and they went with Waqas Salim, followed by the Giants, the new Dallas team. They picked up Ajay Masand. The Mustangs.
That's the second round.
Excuse me, that is the second round of it. The first round went like this. Asun Shah was the first pick from Houston. Then you had Nasir Jamali by the Dallas Mustangs. You then went to Sankit Batula by the Dallas Giants. Lone Star Athletics went with Gaurav Bajaj. And then in the second round, we mentioned Waqas Salim by the Athletics. You had Ajay Masand to the Giants. They went Bonner to the Dallas Mustangs to follow. You then went to Hasufa Ahmed for the Houston Hurricanes. And to round out that second round, it was Murkrab Bonner, who we mentioned for the Dallas Mustangs. In the third round, the Hurricanes, again, it's a snake order draft, so they went back-to-back with Kamran Sheikh. Then the Dallas Mustangs went with Adnan Haroon. The Giants go with Sachin Ashokan, and the Lone Star Athletics went with Hazma Khalid. And then fourth round, just getting started, the Lone Star Athletics started off with Adrin Nadkarni, who is a youngster, so he'll be able to fill in one of those under-19 slots if you were to fill into the team. And then the Giants went with Advit Bilaji Jugnut, and the Dallas Mustangs went with Prathamesh Power. So again, we mentioned earlier, it's all about the roles that are being filled here. These teams have certain ideas in mind with who they want, and you can see that for the Athletics, they wanted to go and get themselves another youth player, and that's what they did in the fourth round with Adrin Nadkarni. So there are these specific roles that are being picked now from these drafts.
Right, and one thing, I like the first round selection here. That, as we were talking about before, a lot of these teams are going to go after players they're familiar with. We got Nasser Jamali, who has represented USA in the past, who was drafted by the Dallas Mustangs, whom he played for last season. He played in 12 matches for them and bowled 42 overs, took 11 wickets at 7.75. Pretty solid numbers there from him. So I like that pick for Dallas. He went with the second overall pick there. And we have Asan Shah, who went with the first pick to the Houston Hurricanes, who, I believe he's part of the Kingsman 11 whole club that they have down there that participates in a lot of the different tournaments and whatnot. So these are good picks here. We're Hamza Khalid from Lone Star Athletics in the third round. Good picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's the roles that are being filled here. These are all guys that these teams would be familiar with. We've seen a couple of these guys before. And again, we're getting the fifth round, and Arir Ali goes off the board for the Houston Hurricanes in their last pick. The Dallas Mustangs, they go get Janisar Khan, someone who's been a part of Lone Star Athletics for the past couple of years. He's now going to make the transition to the Dallas Mustangs. We'll see how many games he gets. We've seen him be big with the ball in certain seasons, but also could be big from a locker room perspective as well, Nick.
Huge. This is a big shock to me. seeing him go to a Dallas team with the relationship he's had in the Houston area. So you're saying I'm waiting to bring this up. I'm trying to bring this up right now. You're saying Janissar Khan went to Dallas Mustangs?
Yes, Janissar Khan in the 5th round went to the Dallas Mustangs.
That is a shock to me. I mean, getting Johnny Khan in the 5th round. This is a good move. He's a clutch player. He's one of the best players spin in his career. He's getting up there in age, but don't tell him I said that. And but yeah, he's. If you look at my profile on Instagram, my profile picture is myself and Johnny Khan. So yeah, I got nothing but great feelings for that fella. Adnan Haroun here going to Dallas Mustangs. That's a really big move, I think. So see, Mustangs are adding some really good role players here, some really good depth. Adnan Haroun has been a very good performer in minor league cricket. He's struck at 131, I believe, in his 31 matches with the bat, and he has. Let me see here. Oh, that's his cricket. That's his Houston Cricket League. But yeah, he's performed quite well in minor league cricket. My bad. But yeah, he's Adnan Haroun, good player. Great depth decisions here by Dallas. Wow, they're making some really savvy choices.
And again, it almost feels like a Major League Cricket draft when you talk about they have their stars. They know who is going to fill out the bulk of that roster. It's about adding guys now that fit certain roles. Janissar Khan, someone who can come in with the ball. 26 wickets in his 23 innings, so he can give yourself with the ball. If you need someone at the tail end with the bat to just come in and hit the ball around, or maybe their spinner's going, he can be someone like that. You mentioned what Adnan Haroun can be in the middle overs, in the middle order. So,
with his bowling, even more so.
So you're talking about these guys who just fill roles, and again, that's what this draft, the beauty of this draft is. You're going to see as these teams make their selections, they have the ideas of who they want. And we mentioned a player that just came off the board to the Giants. We talk about where is he? It's Abhidam Valasamagari. Remember, he was part of the Mustangs originally in 2021, then part of the Yorkers in 2022.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Had a good innings here at Church Street Park.
He did.
Against the Morshore Raptors. He's now part of that Giants lineup as they try to find a way to compete as a newly formed team in this division.
Oh yeah, no, I'd like to point out he's one of my favorite players. I really like Abhi Valasamagari. It was fun following his path into the USA U19 team in 2021. But yeah, very good player, good pickup by the Giants. These Dallas teams are really impressing right now. And taking a young player like him outside of being a youth age group player. It's impressive that he even escaped the age group selections in the first place, but now he's been drafted by the new Dallas team, the Dallas Giants. So congrats to him. That's excellent stuff.
And again, it's that role that we're talking about. He's someone who can give you stuff with the ball. We saw the Manhattan Yorkers go to him, early and then towards the end, which I thought he performed better. Once the ball stopped swinging, he does have some pace in his arsenal as well. But then with the bat, showed a real maturity, showed an ability to hit the ball quite well, and almost took the game away from the Morshore Raptors when they played here before he was brilliantly undone by Rohan Phutke's direct hit from the deep as he went to turn the corner for a second, and it happened to hit stumps. 99% of the time, that throw comes in, it goes over the stumps, and you can make it back. He just turns the corner, lifts his bat, and that just ended up being the catalyst for that Raptors win. And we have the final pick for the Lone Star Athletics of this Texas draft, and it's Arya Ganathan. He is the final pick of this Texas draft. So again, a lot of good names off the board. These teams were already pretty loaded, and they all are going after these specific role players that they can find. And, again, we've talked about it. Nate, is there anything in this draft that has changed any of your perceptions of some of these teams?
In fact, it's just kind of like doubled me down, I think. Honestly, all these teams have done very well. I'm most surprised to see Johnny Khan going where he did. I had assumed that maybe Johnny had moved on or something. I haven't talked to him about minor league this year, but I assumed maybe Johnny was taking on a different role or something. But yeah, he's everybody's big brother. That's Johnny Khan. So
yeah, I remember I went down to Houston for one of the USA series, and Me and him just spent all the entire time talking. So
Right.
he's always someone looking to take someone under his wing and help
Sure.
him out.
Yeah, he spent a good 20 minutes telling me why my batting style was terrible. So, last time well, not the last time I saw him, but yeah, so I'm surprised by that. Dallas Giants also took Sachin Ashokan, who has shown to have some talent for sure. And so, yeah, I see a lot of good depth players taken here in this draft, but yeah, it's coming down to the stars, the star players in this division. And to me, it's going to come down to, it's hard to overcome 7 major league players in one minor league team. That's a tall task.
But I think the only way to do it is get guys that can fill in roles, right? I think
Sure.
your best option is, okay, yeah, the stars don't, you see oftentimes stars won't fire every game. They'll fire most of the time.
Yeah.
Having 7 stars gives you so much backup.
Sure.
But you can never downplay the importance of a really good role-playing group.
Right.
And if your role players are playing at a high level, it just makes life so much easier.
It
For the
does.
stars. So I think that's really what's going to be the separator for me is which of these teams' role players buy in and fit those roles and play those roles the best, because then
Right.
it just gives your star players so much more freedom.
Yeah, and I think there's kind of 2 ways to look at it. Like, there's, one of my favorite things about the NBA is the off season.
Yeah.
Because it's just a storyline. All summer long. It's more fun than the season.
Sure.
Because you get to see all these players move, and you get to see a whole new shape of a team take place. Minor league cricket is even more like that. The players move around a lot. Sometimes they go back to the team they were on the year before. But like, there's also another comparison to basketball here is there's only so much ball to go around.
Yeah.
There's 20 overs here. You got 7 superstars on the Dallas Mustangs, plus your age group players are very, very good. Plus you've just drafted very good depth players. Can everybody put aside their need to be in the spotlight for the good of the team? That's my big question with this Dallas team, and this may be the first time I've asked this question on this show in a draft. That's how stacked this team is. And I'm not saying that they're invincible. Nobody's invincible. But can this team come together and do what's best for the good of the team? Because you're talking about 7 major league players who all of them are very good, and they probably will feature in major league. And some of them are going to have to step aside.
Absolutely, and you can see the full list there of all the picks from all the teams. And again, 8 teams in this division. This is just the Texas part of this division, and again, this Texas side just looks like they could be their own division, and we'd still be like, wow, what a division we're looking at here. But that wraps up the Central Division, and as we move into the final Western Division, Nate, I heard you had the chance to talk to one of our good buddies in that part of the country to break down those pre-draft rosters.
Yes, in the West, I met up with my buddy Joe Hickey, who is Joe Hickey, who he's actually one of the guys who follows the West more than anybody, as much as anybody I know. And so Joe has agreed to be the correspondent for the West Division this season, and I had a great chat with him to preview the draft to see who's being kept and what teams need. So stand by, get your Laxmi together, and enjoy yourself and watch this.
On with me now to preview the West. We're going to talk about the domestic keepers, basically, and what each team needs. Is Joe Hickey, the West correspondent. Joe, you do a lot of commentary out there. You follow the West closer than anybody I know. Thanks for giving me your time.
Oh, happy to be here, Nate.
Well, let's get straight into it and talk about what the teams are keeping this year and what you think they're going to need. And we'll start with the Strikers, who finished last season in first place in the West.
Yeah, Silicon Valley, the big thing they're going to be in search for, I think, is, something of a new identity, having Unmup Chand departing. He was, the MVP of the playoffs that first year, somebody who really has been a constant source of runs for this team. Worth noting that he's racked up a lot of those against the SoCal squads. There's going to be one less of them this season anyhow, but certainly somebody who led from the front, has built opening partnerships with just about everybody. The good news for them is they have picked up somebody from the Atlantic in the person of Lahiro Milantha. Sorry, Nate. Milantha fills a bit of a similar role in the batting side of things. Maybe a little bit lower of an average, but a bit higher of a strike rate, 550s last year. And I'm interested to see with his arrival, can he fill some of that role that Chand has has filled in the past. And also, I'm interested to see what his arrival will mean for Rahul Jariwala. Jariwala did a little bit of opening batting and, of course, was the wicket keeper. Last season, it was his glove work, I think, that kept him on the field, even as he had struggles with the bat. It'll be interesting to see whether he maintains that. He was a fantastic defensive wicket keeper, but Milantha will certainly push.
Right. And then, of course, we have Tadani coming back as a U21 who got a lot of chances with them. And that bowling attack, it's tough to crack that, you would think. So, yeah, I mean, with the U21s and the U19s on that team, it's a fair question. Does Rahul Jariwala play? Does he keep? If he does play, you've got for my money, the best glove man in the USA in Lahiro Malanta, moving there from the South, and he led the South in runs last year. Left-handed bowling tends to do very well in this league, and the best way to neutralize that is with left-handed batting.
Well, and speaking of left-handed bowling, that is the one other place where I think Silicon Valley are going to be a little bit shaken up. They have parted with Kulbinder Singh, at least in the form of these keepers at this point. And Kulbinder in particular was a high leverage bowler, somebody who bowled just 2 of his 38 overs last season outside of the power play or death overs, and was absolute money at the death. He was taking wickets every 8 balls, 10 runs per. I mean, he was and for that matter, just kind of a spiritual leader on that team as well. So someone who they'll certainly miss. Yeah, I think some finishers, they might want to get a little deeper in the opening, depending on whether Jariwala stays on the field. They did part ways with Arch Butch and Zahid Zakhail, who would open the batting alongside Chan before, and maybe a little bit more in the way of pace. They've got their spinners back in terms of Surrey and Raghavan. They do have Saurabh Netravalkar, obviously, who it's amazing we've gotten this far without mentioning.
Oh my gosh!
But in terms of the loss of Primus, Reefer, and Singh, there is a little bit of a hole there. So I think pace bowling will be something that they are targeting to fill in those middle overs and find somebody they can pair with Netravalkar up front.
Let's move on now to Seattle. They finished second there. Obviously, they won the league last year. Both Seattle and Silicon Valley advanced to the finals weekend. Seattle topped Silicon Valley and went on to win the whole league. Right now, they have yet to submit their full roster. They have time. They're not in a draft zone. But we do know some of the players they've lost.
Yes, indeed, and it really is the core of that team in a lot of ways. Andres House, Harmeet Singh, and Shubham Ranjane all headed to the Central Division. And so those players in particular were so important to the playoff run, heck, to that net run rate drag race that they had with East Bay Blazers. They were very important for that, particularly Singh moving himself up in the order. So unclear right now who they have coming back bowling wise. We do know Shadley returns.
Yeah, that's a real shame. They got an uphill battle. Honestly, when you look at it last year, we've said this so many times. They caught lightning in a bottle. They had such a good team. Let's move on to the Blazers, where we see a little bit of movement there as well.
Yeah, Nate, you mentioned earlier the CPL players being something that minor league cricket won't be able to draw from quite the way they have in the past, and that's where the major loss comes for East Bay. Mark Dayal last year was a midway all-star on this program. You and Aaman Patel giving him rightfully, I thought, that honor. Averaged 34 with the bat, averaged 21 with the ball, and when it was high leverage situations, he was even better. Power play bowling, had an economy under 5. 11 for his average, and was just mashing during the power play when he could get in to a 191 strike rate. Besides him, as big of a loss as that is, the batting for this team is largely intact. And the strength for the Blazers is going to start again right at the top. David White, Saideep Ganesh, for my money, the best opening partnership in minor league cricket last year.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, cleared 100 twice, over 74 on 5 different occasions, and managed to survive the entire power play in 8 of their 14 matches. So
that's
always
great.
gave them a fantastic platform. East Bay so far has gotten kind of lost in the mix because they've been eliminated from playoff contention on the final day of the season, both years of minor league cricket.
Yeah.
And this last one really through no fault of their own, just because Seattle annihilated Golden State twice. So this is a team, I think, with that strength, if they can bolster the power play bowling where they've gotten a little bit weaker, I think this could be a really dangerous team this year.
And I think they're an example of how important runs in the power play are, how important a dependable power play with the bat is, because they got very far last year You know, like you said, they got up to the last day of the season, and that was really the most reliable thing about their team.
No, absolutely. They'll need to flesh out the middle order a little bit in the draft in order to try to support those two at the top. Like we talked about with the likes of a Chand and a Milantha, you don't want them slowing down, feeling that responsibility. I feel like Dayal was such a security blanket for the openers as well. Let them express themselves a bit faster than they might have otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, with ball in hand, they do still have Carmine LaRue coming back, even though they have now lost 60% of last season's power play overs between Dayal, Nabaz Khan, and Jaron Alfred. But LaRue was pretty good down the stretch last season once he came back from injury. They have experimented a little bit with Sanjay Krishnamurthy. He went 4 for 62 in his 9 overs. So that's an interesting wrinkle right there. But I think that power play bowling, along with that middle order flesh out, is going to be a big part of what the Blazers are looking for.
Moving on to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so the Grizzlies, they've had an interesting flip-flop here. Last season, they picked up Aasan Adil to bolster their bowling after losing one of the top bowlers in minor league cricket in Niraj Goel. Goel is back for this season in place of Adil. And worth noting here, we don't always see the stats from some of the other leagues around the country, but he's gotten back into action here in the Northern California Cricket Association, and just in the last couple of weeks has shown that he looks ready for this mission. So leaving the team, a lot of players besides Adil here who had somewhat underwhelming years. A lot of the bowling has been cleaned out. Sharyar Khan, Ruchir Joshi, who both of them saw a lot of time in the power play last year, will not be back with the team unless they're drafted here as potentially available players. Abhi Singh, the owner of the first fifer in Pacific Conference history. Again, bit of an underwhelming year last season. He won't be back, at least as we currently see it. And Karan Chandel and Hamad Azam on the batting side of things. Well, one of the things they're going to need is some opening batting. They do have Sami Aslam, obviously, but Karan Chandel, who departed, wasn't terribly effective, especially down the stretch last season to begin with. And they had a lot of problems against spin early on. Sammy wound up dismissed for single digits 6 times down the stretch of that season. And it just seemed that teams figured out if they bowled a little bit of left arm spin at those two, they could get them out quickly. And then you got to those other players that were struggling with the bats. So I think that's going to be a big deal to try to up that run rate. Last year in this division, the only worst run rate in the power play that belonged to San Diego and Hollywood. And that's not the company you want to keep if you're trying to contend for a division title.
With a lot of talent in the northern part of the West moving away into the Central Division, this is an opportunity maybe for the Lashings to take the next step.
Yeah, Lashing certainly had a lot of quality in the batting lineup, especially up top last year, and started to convert that into some wins and into some really competitive games down the stretch against the NorCal sides. They don't bring back a whole lot of that team, though, so it's going to be a very different look. Harpreet Singh, Elmore Hutchinson, Rajveer Khosa, and otherwise it's going to be all new faces at this point. Yeah, the bad news with that with that opening batting from last year is that Katane Clark and Dale Phillips have left. They have supplemented that with a new Kiwi as they've brought Chad Bowes back stateside.
Great!
Fans will remember him from the first season of minor league cricket, averaged 36 out of the 4 spot. But since then, he has been mashing over in the Super Smash with Canterbury and has been opening the batting in a lot of his work there and managing a strike rate up in the 150s. So I think that's somebody who they'll look to pair with Harpreet Singh, let him be the anchor, and see if Bowes can express himself.
But that moves us into the San Diego Surf Riders. And how are they looking right now?
So of the teams that are returning this season, with the Hollywood Master Blasters not coming back for 2023, they had the worst record last year, kind of anemic batting and very permissive bowling. They had basically a net run rate in the ballpark of negative 1.3, and you're not going to win a lot that way. One of the big things that hurt them last year was they didn't get very much of Marty Kane. Kane started getting called into the USA team for the T20 qualifiers, and he only played 6 games for them, and hardly anybody else managed a strike rate over about 115 last year. And on top of that, the batting is going to get a little weaker. They have made one big swap here as we look at the retentions and the new acquisitions. Nisarg Patel into the team, Nikhil Dutta out. From a bowling perspective, that's a great swap. Nisarg Patel's left arm spin, very economical in 2021. Didn't bowl a whole lot for them, again, on international duty last year for large chunks of the season. But Dutta did have a very good bat last year for them.
Right.
Average 32, struck at 113. He was dismissed early a couple of times, but if he made it to 10 balls, he was going to get 30 for you pretty much every time.
Right.
And so he started moving his way up the order over the course of that year and was really effective for them.
Duo of Marty and Nisarg Patel, you've already got your spin sorted out right there. Who do you favor in this division right now? Who's your favorite right now?
I think pre-draft, I'd go with the East Bay Blazers. It certainly looks like it could be their time at this point. That great opening batting to be paired with some really good spin bowling. Carmine LaRue looking good towards the end of last season. I think that's a team potentially to beat because I think they can just bat you off the park.
Great. Well, Joe, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm stoked that I've got someone like you to talk to about this because I know how much you pay attention to this stuff, and it's just so insightful for me. It's tough to get in the nitty gritty of every single division. So I really appreciate you.
Well, it's a lot of teams. Happy to help.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Well, thank you for that, Joe Hickey. And that was presented by Laxmi, the leading South Asian food brand in the United States. And again, this California region is going to be really interesting, this Western division, because it's split into two draftable zones. You have SoCal and you have NorCal, and the Northern California teams have the ones of the Silicon Valley Strikers. They have the East Bay Blazers, the Golden State Grizzlies, the teams you're more accustomed to hearing coming out of this division. But the SoCal teams initially were 3 last season. Now there's 2 SoCal teams, the SoCal Lashings and the San Diego Surf Riders. So you're hoping that the talent pool, because it's not as thinned out, those teams do pick up. And again, we're going to start with the Southern California teams. Nate, out of these 2 teams, which of the 2 teams stands out more to you?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think the draft is going to have to determine that for me right now, because we've cut back from 3 teams. We lost the Hollywood Master Blasters, and we now have 2. There should be a better draft pool this year, considering that. I do really like, as I mentioned with Joe Hickey on our little segment there, I really like Nisarg Patel coming over to San Diego. Yes, he bowls left arm orthodox like Marty Kane. That's kind of where the similarity ends. But yeah, so I like that move for San Diego, and obviously Greg Hayes coming back. That's good. Good for them. Now, I still can't choose because I think SoCal has done some decent things as well. Now, I think they've lost. We don't know who their wild card is going to be. Their wild card was huge last season, and this year they might have to. I think they'll rely a lot more on Harpreet Singh again, like they did in 2021, and actually he performed quite well in 2021. I hope we'll see him get back to that. Get back to that form that he was in. But yeah, we've got Elmore Hutchinson still playing. Elmore is fit. He is very fit. He's not going to let that part of himself slip. But yeah, he is definitely getting older. He's one of our heroes here at Church Street Park. We've seen, he produced one of those memorable diving catches out there at long off. Again, who was that against? I can't remember. Well, anyways, it might have been against Canada. But it was that week.
Yes. Again, Elmore Hutchinson. I still remember probably one of the better calls in minor league, or maybe more memorable calls in minor league cricket history, when he hits a 6 and go up and away.
That was Jimmy Anclasaria.
Love it, right? So
shout out to Jimmy.
They delivered those kinds of moments, and these 2 teams have not wasted any time getting their drafts going as well. The first pick of the Southern California region was Sanchit Sandhu, and then from the San Diego Surf Riders and the SoCal Lashings went in the direction of Wais Qureshi. And then a name you'll remember, Guyan Fernando, going to the San Diego Surf Riders name.
Yeah, I think that's a great move for San Diego. They need someone with his dependability with the ball. Guyan Fernando is a good bowler, and yeah, I think that's good stuff. For San Diego, they do need bowling. They addressed that a little bit right there. Also, he can do a little bit with the bat as well. But yeah, great move by San Diego there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they just keep going on and on with the picks. They just kept going in a quick fashion. They want to get these picks out in a hurry. Mohamed Zain is the second round pick for the SoCal Lashings, and then you had Pranav Reddy back to back for the SoCal Lashings going into Abhinav Venpit. You had Rubal Raina for the SoCal Lashings, then Jaydeep Reddy for the San Diego Surf Riders, and then you had Burhan Uddin for the San Diego Surf Riders, and then the SoCal Lashings finish things off with Deepak Gosain. So again, these two teams going over a little bit of a smaller talent pool, but they're hoping that because it's a little bit more concentrated, you're going to get two teams that fill their roles a little bit better. You got to love the Guyan Fernando pick. I think he's the pick that stands out amongst the rest because of just the fact you can throw him into a batting lineup that features, a Greg Hay, a Marty Kane, and Sarik Patel. You can throw him into that lineup and feel pretty confident about him.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think, that draft went by really quickly. So yeah, it's good stuff. We have. Akash Saini saying I didn't see him on either of these two teams. I'm curious what's up with him. If he might be in India now, but he was competing for a spot on the USA U19 team in 2021, and so that's interesting to not see him around.
Absolutely, and again, that is SoCal pretty much wrapped up in a bow.
I'm trying to take a look here at some of the players here for this. It's interesting. I don't see. There's a couple of names here I don't also see. I was looking for Jaikishan Plahad. I heard he moved to the area. He's an English bowler, or he's an English all-rounder. I don't see him there, but I think there was a couple of teams looking at him as a free agent. Good player. He was the one player you'll probably have heard of him. He got hit in the head by David Warner in the nets a few years ago. He got picked to bowl in the nets against Australia when they were visiting England. He's an English player who's moved to California this year. I thought I would have seen him in the draft, but I didn't.
Nate, the reason you don't see him in the draft is because he was a free agent pickup by the SoCal Lashings. They go with Jaikishan Palaha, and they also go with Abhimanyu Rajab as their other free agent. So they announced those two free agents. Again, those free agents don't ever have to be announced. You never have to get a free agent.
I see him right there, yeah.
They've elected to use it, and again, why not go get yourself an English
Two good ones.
Two very good ones. So,
two good ones.
Again, we're talking about how San Diego might have the edge in the Southern California region. With those two pickups, the SoCal Lashings might have something to say about it.
Yeah, I think those are good picks. I think, but yeah, good job by the South. And I think we're already going into the North.
We're going into the North, and we'll start out with the Silicon Valley Strikers, who won the division last year. And there was a name that wasn't on the pre-draft roster that you were very concerned about, Kulvinder Singh. Well, he's back with the Silicon Valley Strikers. And what would you do without Kulvinder Singh back on the Silicon Valley Strikers? They also go with Ruchir Joshi. They go Arch Bush, another really good facet for them. They go with Mohawk Bush as well. Siddhant Senthil and Umang Parekh as their picks there. Talk to me about what you see out of the Strikers draft.
Well, there's a sigh of relief. We got Kulvinder Singh, everybody's favorite player that's not on their team. Joe was talking, and I had to cut it out because the video went long, but he was talking to me about how his parents wanted him to get Kulvinder Singh's autograph for them because he's their favorite player. So a lot of people say Kulvinder Singh is their favorite player. Anytime I do a reel with Kulvinder Singh, it blows up. So I'm glad to see him back with the Strikers. Lovely guy, by the way, but performed quite well over the last 2 years with the Strikers. Did very well last season in difficult situations, bowling in the power play and in the death. There was one memorable game where he missed a chance in the field that could have won the game for them.
Yep.
And then he came back in the next over. I think he defended something like 7, some small
I remember
total.
watching the premium stream with that.
It's unbelievable. That was a premium stream. That was Nikhil Chandani was on comms for that one, and I believe Suhas was on with him, and they did a great job calling that. That was one of the highlights of the season.
Absolutely.
And you heard his teammates, screaming when he messed up when he messed up in the field, and then you heard them cheering and leaping for joy. That's Kulvinder is one of those guys that brings a lot of energy to a team and a lot of emotion, and just a raw, emotional player. Swung the ball a mile here at Church Street Park in 2021 finals. Just tremendous. Yeah, Ruchir Joshi, great pick for them. He's been excellent in that Northern California area. Arsh Bush, Mohawk Bush, these are good picks. Sidhan Sento and Umang Parekh for the strikers. This is a good job by the strikers. And looking at it, you saw my video with Joe Hickey. We both kind of thought that the East Bay Blazers might have an edge this season. Yeah. As we mentioned in the video, the strikers bring in Lahiru. They lose unmucked, but they bring in Lahiru Malanta from here. You and I have shed some tears about that already.
Yeah, one of the best keepers, if not the best keeper, in just terms of behind the stumps in the country. And
such a fun player to watch bat.
Such a fun player to watch bat.
Yeah, his bat, he's got trademark shots. You watch him play twice and you're like, okay, these are his trademark shots.
Yeah, if you give him anything wide, that cut is good. That cut is just flashing.
That cut is beautiful. Yeah, so he's a tremendously good player. He brings something to that team. Left-handed bat always comes in handy in this league where there's turf, because it neutralizes the left-handed bowling. And so left-handed bowling, Kulvinder Singh.
There you go.
You know, these are good things. Ruchir Joshi, adds depth to their bowling. Silicon Valley Strikers came out of this really well.
Absolutely.
You know, I think they got to be one of the favorites for the division.
They always seem to be, and even with the departure of Mukjan, you expect them to be right back in the mix. And a team that kind of took a step back from the inaugural season of minor league was the Golden State Grizzlies. We all thought they'd be back in the mix, and it had to do more so with Butzel Vegela not being available for a lot of the season on USA duty. He was their premier strike bowler and just wasn't available. But this year, they've done some things. The Golden State Grizzlies, they've lost some players as well. Isan Adil goes, Hamandazam goes, but those are two very big losses. But their draft goes as follows: they pick up Karan Chandel, they pick up Dilpreet Billing, Rashid Azmini, and Arshdeep Singh Jammu, and John Manohar Bangaru. So this is a team again. Yes, they get Butzel Vegela back. You hope for the majority of the season, but they do lose two of their key contributors.
Yeah, Karan Chandel's a big one here. It's good to have him in that team at the top there. But yeah, you're right. They did lose a lot. One thing they gained back, though, like you mentioned briefly, was Butzel Vegela. So he should feature a lot more in that team this year because of the fact that he was gone so long. With USA last year. So we get to see more of Butzel again. Neeraj Goel on that team, on that Golden State Grizzlies team, coming in, he'll fill in the shoes. He was hurt last year. He's going to fill in the shoes of Ihsan Adil pretty well, I think. Neeraj has also been on fire, according to Joe Hickey in that video. Neeraj has been on fire lately, and he's already a really well-known domestic player in the USA. So, yeah, the Golden State Grizzlies still look like a very good team. My big question for them is their attitude. Not their attitude in terms of like, oh, they're a bunch of jerks, or I'm not saying that. They're great guys. Their attitude in terms of like they need to be more positive with their batting approach. They need to realize that they need to take advantage of the power play. And I think that they'll put that on their shoulders this season. I'd like to see Zia Shahzad play with more urgency. I'd like to see Sami Aslam himself not feel like he needs to shoulder the responsibility on the team. I think the team doubles down on him too much. I think that they allow him to take that responsibility without taking some of it off of his shoulders for him, and that affects him, and it affects the team. And I think this year they have to take that next step where they all have to be more aggressive with the bat. They have to have some more urgency with the bat. They're going to need to without Ihsan Adil. So,
yeah, absolutely. And again, before we finish out the Northern California draft, this is what Southern California looks like. And again, we mentioned what they're able to do in the draft with a couple of their big signings. And again, Guy and Fernando, to me, one of the biggest players to come out that draft. And I think the SoCal Lashings, beyond their draft picks, it was their free agent of Jaikishan Palaha that, to me, was the biggest thing there, Nate.
Yeah, and also we see Deepak Hussain added there at the end, Pratik Desai for the lone sixth round pick for the Surf Riders. He was added late, but we see him added on right there. Yeah, I think you're right, Aaman. The guy and Fernando, very big pick for the Surf Riders. They needed that. They need they need to step it up with the batting department as well. They need to score in the power play if they're going to have a chance to win against these hard, very difficult teams. Lashings also. We're going to see in this part of the division, the overseas players are going to matter a ton. You're going to need to get a lot of production out of these players, the overseas players that they bring in to have a chance with the northern teams, the northern west teams. Now, we've seen a lot of the talent go into the Central.
Right.
Are we going to see the Central be the division that we talk about the most?
It could be.
In the past, the West has always been kind of like the powerhouse.
Yes, absolutely. And a team that looks like it could be a powerhouse once again is the East Bay Blazers. And look no further than that first pick that they made. It was Brody Couch. Now, I got to see Brody Couch up close and in person at the MLC Champions Open. And if you watch the Big Bash, you know this kid comes with serious pace and is incredible with the bat as well. I think he's going to be really big for them. They also bring back Abhishek Bardkar, Abhi Singh, Rudrik Sutar, and Akash Sundarsan. So you get those guys in, and if you're the East Bay Blazers, you already have this incredible lineup. Carmi LaRue, you expect to be really big, but to bring in some more express pace with Brody Couch is huge for them.
It's nuts. You've got Brody Couch, Carmi. You've got you have Rusty.
Yeah.
Who, when Rusty is playing, it's hard to find a better bowler than him. The guy is a performer, and he's a competitor too. I can tell you that. He's a very big competitor. One of the biggest competitors I know. But yeah, that East Bay team got better in the draft. They got better. They got a lot better. They got adding Brody Couch, Abhishek from the left. Yep. And that's great. That's great bowling depth. It's going to be a tricky thing for them to get these guys all in the games. And Abhi Singh, Rudrik Sutar, and Akash Sundrasan. And so yeah, this East Bay team here. This is a very good-looking team. It's a scary team, and when you put them with Vikash Mohan, you put them with Muhammad Katawazi, Carmi, whom we mentioned, Angelo Pereira, Rusty, David White, who we haven't even mentioned yet.
Maybe the hardest hitter of the cricket ball in the country.
Right, exactly. And Hari Krishnan there, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, Amal Garpally, and I assume that they're also going to have. We don't see him listed right here, but I assume they're also going to have Saeed Ganesh
back. Yes, absolutely.
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And it's just this team looks bonkers.
And that leads me to my next question, Nate. Seeing these these post-draft rosters, what 2 or 3 stick out to you?
All of them are good.
But which one? Since we only have 3 in Northern California,
I won't shy away from saying that East Bay looks like the best team in this group right now.
Yeah.
To me, I think they have the least amount of adapting to do. They've improved their team without having to adapt a ton. Leadership's pretty much intact. Silicon Valley, the big question is how critical was Unmuk's leadership on that team? We'll find out this year. Now they have very good players that can certainly pick up the slack. Obviously they have Saurabh Netravalkar, who could be the MVP of the division. You have Lahiru coming into the team, but the roles are going to change a little bit because of the shouldering of the responsibility that Unmuk had on that team. And so we'll see. The big question is Rahul Jarawala. Is he going to open the batting? Is he going to play? He's not going to be looking to keep it. I don't know if you would take the gloves away from Lahiru.
Yeah.
So it's Dev Tadani, who has played his quota many times on that team. Most times he's bowling his quota. And Gary Graham is going to be important for them because I think they do need that finisher role right there. That might be the one area where they had a little bit of they have a little bit of weakness, I think, might be that finisher role, which is why Gary Graham's going to be very important for them right now. But obviously, when you have a guy named like Shehan Jayasuriya, sometimes he's finishing.
Absolutely. I think the wild card is going to make a big difference for these teams in this in this division because I think there's still questions with the East Bay Blazers. Carmi LaRue, we haven't seen a full season out of him, so can he play a full season, right? And he's going to be coming off of Major League as well. Can we see him get that full season going? And also the depth of that batting lineup. You talk about David White and Saeed Ganesh up top, and yes, you have Sanjay Krishnamurthy, but Angelo Pereira is there. can you get that finisher in your side as well? So I think there's a couple of questions and some things left to be desired, and I think that's where the wild card is going to come in big.
Sure, and Pranay Surrey did a great job for them last season. I'm talking about finishers. He did a good job closing games out when he had to. For them, Srinivas Raghavan too. Might we see him a little bit more this season? But yeah, the wild card for this team, to me, is going to matter a lot. Who do you get as a wild card? I think you need a good all-rounder who can finish the game.
And they also have the option to go get a domestic wild card as well. So if they want someone in the country who hasn't, found a home yet, or they still might be in talks with a couple of guys, I think that's also an option for them.
Well, right on this, they have Hero listed in that role.
Excuse me, for the East Bay Blazers.
For East Bay Blazers. My big question for the East Bay Blazers is who do you get? Who do you get as your wild card for the East Bay Blazers? Because you have so many things right here. Okay. You've got so many things covered on this team. Mm-hmm. What do you get as your wild card? And I think maybe a big finishing bat is what you want to try to get.
Yeah, you can never have too many big finishing bats. And for the Golden State Grizzlies, I think for them, they still have the wild card, the domestic wild card, and another domestic that they can go after. I think for them, it's about getting batting depth. I think, you lose so much with Hamad Azam going. Remember, MVP of the league in 2021.
True.
And then you also lose a couple other guys, a couple big pieces. Yeah. Eshan Adil, arguably maybe the best pace bowler in the country.
Sure.
You need to find a way to replace that. I think with both ball and bat in hand, I think you still have Zia Shahzad and Sami Aslam to carry some load, but I think you've got to find ways to take weight off their shoulders.
You've got this team, the way that they play, I would put them up against any 50 overs team in the country, for sure. My thing with the Grizzlies is they have to change their attitude. They have to be more positive. And I think they have the ability within their team to be a very, very, very good team. If they just accept that they need to be more positive, they need to score more runs. They have to score more runs, and they have to do it faster. Yeah. You have Zia Shahzad, tremendous player, tremendous all-rounder, excellent leg spinner. If you ask me, it's tough to find a leg spinner better than him in the USA. And then, and also with the bat, very good batter. He's been lights out. He was lights out in the Altius last year. Then you got Sami Aslam, of course. I think Sammy hurt his draft stock by not insisting other people took responsibility on that team. And I think he's a selfless player. He's a very selfless player, and he wants to do the best thing for the team. But to me, I think the best thing for that team is Sami Aslam needs to get more selfish. That's what I think.
Yeah,
he'd take more shots in basketball terms.
Right, no, I understand that point. I also think Shivam Mishra could be a contender for a breakout year, someone who's striking it above 120.
Yeah.
And I think because of the fact that there will be more weight and more expectation on his shoulders, he could be the guy, that the Hamad Azam, where it's go in and score runs and score runs in a hurry. I think if there's someone right now on that roster, he's someone that you could turn to and say, hey, this is going to be your role this year. We're going to expect you to take some big steps forward and fill those shoes.
Yeah. They got big shoes to fill on that team, but they have good talent. So this is going to be interesting. It's always interesting in this part of the division to see what happens. Obviously, we don't know yet about what's going on with Seattle. We know some of what's going on with them. They've lost a lot of tremendous players, but they do have Shadley still on the team. And we'll see what they put around Shadley. They're going to need to put to get creative is what they're going to need to do. And this will be a rebuild year for them. It's not unusual in sports to have a team win a league, and then, not win the league the next season.
Well, how often do you get back-to-back winners? The NFL hasn't seen a back-to-back winner since 2004 when the New England Patriots did it back-to-back.
Your team,
there, right?
I
I'd throw a shout out there. So
my team beat your team twice, though.
All right, you know what, Giants fans, we can leave that in the past. The past is the past. We can leave it in the past. Right now, this Western Division, though, it looks really good, just like always. And again, sure, you lost some of those bigger names. Harmeet Singh no longer in the division. You lost Mukchand, but to get Lahidu Malanta in that division, to go and keep those Sami Aslams and bring some of these other guys back, I think to have Vatsal Vagela back is going to be huge for Golden State. I think this division is wide open in the air, but I do think it's a three-horse race at the moment. I think it's between the Grizzlies, the East Bay Blazers, and the Silicon Valley Strikers. And if you ask me to pick two of the horses, I'd go with Silicon or East Bay, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's I don't think I mentioned Robbie Timbawala enough for SoCal. I think that's good keep for them. But yeah, I think East Bay's my pick for this division. East Bay. Now, we can have some fun talking about how we think the entire league is going to shake out. If you want, do you want to go down that road?
Let's go down that road. We have some time to kill.
Well, we could also talk a little bit about what we do know about the South, if you want to. We'll wait on that because we don't know much.
We don't know much. So, but for this league, the way we see it shaking out, again, we said in the Eastern Conference, right? We were going back to the start of the night. We looked at the New Jersey Stallions and the Philadelphians and the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers as your 3 teams that could come out of there. I would back the side that's done it. I think the Stallions are still right there. And then looking what they did in the draft and the guys they got Deron Davis back.
How many times do they have? Right. How many times do they have to make people pay for not picking them?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's they make people eat their words all the time.
Absolutely. And again, you say, well, can they get it done because they're not going to have that explosion up top the order?
Yeah.
Because Saite Jumukamala, he bats, above 100, but it's around 100. You see Dominic Ricky bats at around 100, and Monak Patel bats at around 100. Those guys stick in and they make their innings count. And I think Sai's in a purple patch at the moment. I think he's batting as well as he's ever batted in his career, and I think he's just on a high of confidence as well.
Yeah.
I would be hard found to pick another team. I think I would have to be really gutsy to pick another team coming out the East.
Some major wild card would have to pop up right here for me to not pick New Jersey Stallions right now. That's not to say that there aren't other great teams. Philadelphians look good. New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, like I said, a bit of luck change last year could have changed a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But the Stallions, to me, they got it in the East. And one thing we don't know is, we don't want to count out New England Eagles. We don't know anything about them yet. So we do know who they don't have, and it's all these other players. So we'll see what the New England Eagles can put together. They had the professor last season. Darlington.
Yep.
So we'll see. They'll probably bring him back. I didn't see his name. So they'll probably bring Darlington back, and he's a really good player. Let's see what they have to show us in the coming days. But yeah, I gotta go with New Jersey coming out of there. Now, the South's the tricky one we don't know much about.
Right, we don't know much about them, but we know Umukjan's going to the Atlanta Lightning. Funny Samadri will be in the Lightning. And we can expect that the Raptors should be back, and then we can expect that the Fire should be right back in the mix as well.
I can't see the Lightning letting go of guys like Hanchard Hamilton, for example.
Absolutely. Heath Richards should be back there.
And my question for Atlanta Fire is Jamar Hamilton, right? Like we're losing a lot of guys for the CPL. Is he gonna be on a CPL team this year? Jamar Hamilton's so much fun to watch.
Rakeem Cornwall might be the biggest question.
Rakeem's gone.
He's gonna be in the CPL.
But they're probably gonna still have Aaron Jones and Steven Taylor, and Corny Dry, and Aponso, and that's a very, very good team.
If they can keep that core together, you wouldn't expect that team to be right back in the mix of it. They're not going anywhere.
You don't expect
that core still there.
And we're going to see hybrid, maybe even turf down there in Atlanta.
And that's going to benefit Aaron Jones and Steven Taylor.
Sure.
Cornet Dry, who's more accustomed to playing on that type of wicket.
We'll get some bangers out of this.
That you got. I think for them, that's a huge step in the right direction for them.
Absolutely. So that's, to me, the South. We don't know enough about it yet, but the two Atlanta teams look nasty. Now, can you turn? Atlanta Lightning just missed out in the playoffs last year, so it's not like they're turning things around in 1 year by adding these players. They're adding to a very good team.
They were on the cusp. They just needed a couple of wins to go the right way. Yeah, Kyle Phillips still there.
Got Kyle and Heath.
And think about how many very close finishes they had. Talk about when the Raptors beat them down in Atlanta. Dane Pete finishing that innings off against Kyle Phillip through cover, hitting that one. Coming back here to Church Street Park, they had an opportunity to play spoiler to the Mercer Raptors, and they lost in a very close fashion once again. So if a couple
it was Heath that time.
It was Heath that time. So if there's a couple results that go in their favor, they're in the playoffs in
Agree
2022.
With you.
So to add those two pieces, it takes a lot off it. Think about how much pressure was on Heath Richards' shoulders as well to go in and bowl those over. So if he's back, hey, a funny Samadhi take wickets, and Heath Richards, gets a little bit of that breather. You can split that time going. So I think that's the beauty of what the Atlanta Lightning did. But again, we don't know enough about the South to pick a winner quite yet.
I want to see if they can take those power play wickets, Fani Samhadri becomes maybe your MVP. If you can get those couple wickets in the power play,
absolutely,
and let Fani loose on the whole South Division. Let's see what happens. I want to see if Kyle and Heath can get those wickets early. And so that's the big question to me. But yeah, that'll be fun to watch that battle. Obviously, Morrisville.
Yep.
Obviously, we can't wait to see what happens here. but we also got a lot of our wild cards from the CPL.
Yeah.
And that's
talk about Matthew Ford. Talk about
Kesrick.
Kezron, yeah.
Okay, Kezron. It's not Kesrick. Kezron.
Kezron Archibald. Yeah.
Both of them tremendous.
Tremendous players, and they were really. Remember, you made the video just that we showed right against the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers.
Big players.
The Philadelphians, where he comes in and hits those runs to get them to that super over. So
right, and then obviously Matthew Ford doing the same thing in his place. Matthew Ford stepped in and took on that same role, and we didn't miss a beat.
Absolutely. Yeah. So those are going to be the big questions coming out the South. You move to the Central.
But let's just, for the sake of it, let's pick a team, because we got to, let's pick a team. We don't know enough, but everyone knows we qualified that like 30 times. So let's just pick a team for the South.
You know what? Let's give it to the team that won the South the past 2 years. Let's go Atlanta Fire.
We are so boring. We picked the New Jersey Stallions and Atlanta Fire.
Well, again, we know what the Atlanta Fire are. We've seen what they are, and
I'm with you though.
Until somebody takes the crown, you got to give it back to them.
You got to give it back to them. You got to give it back. So those are my picks too. Coming out of the Atlantic.
Coming out the Atlantic. So then we move to the Central, and again, to me, I think it's a 4-horse race between the Texas sides.
Yeah, right? But I'm going with Mustangs myself.
He's going with the Mustang. Again, why not go with that horse? Again, the Mustangs, you have all of the firepower.
Plus the depth they added, the experience they have in the depth is what really gets me, is they added some very good experienced players at the depth.
Absolutely. And again, I hate to go away from that. And also, we're being really boring, Nate. We're being incredibly boring, because this is the team that came out of the Central.
We are being boring.
I'm going with
Chicago.
He's going with Chicago. He's moving to the Tigers. He's jumped ship. But no, I do think the Dallas Mustangs, as it currently stands, as we look at this post-draft roster, they do look like the best team. And again, it's just that star power.
There's two things we don't know about the Central, though. We don't know about Michigan Cricket Stars team.
Yep.
And we don't know about the St. Louis Americans team.
Yep.
We have to assume, because we didn't see some of the players gone, that some of those players are staying. Justin Dill still lives there.
Yeah.
In St. Louis. We got to assume he'll be on the team still. So you don't get rid of your captain, just like that either. So we'll see what they I imagine Nikhil Campton is still going to play for St. Louis.
Sure.
We'll find that out in the coming days. Michigan lost their big hitter. They lost Ryan Scott.
And Noman Anwar.
Both
of those guys scoring hundreds and really added a lot to that batting lineup. So we'll see what they can do to replace, because those were their two biggest draws.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah. That's tough. And and to be fair to them, they just missed the playoffs in 2 years.
Yes.
They were very good both years. They were a very, very good team. They were tough. They were a tough win for anybody who played against them. So we'll see what
Zishan Maksud over there.
They had Zishan Maksud. Yeah,
so we'll see if they'll be able to bring him back as a wild card.
Why not?
Or another team able to bring him back as a wild card. And that's the big thing that we don't have yet, is the wild cards. And we'll get those wild cards. And if you want to stay updated about the draft and the players and these teams as they continue to get updated, you can follow Minor League Cricket on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also look at the MLC Network on YouTube. Subscribe to that, as I'm sure Nate will have a couple of videos updating
Cricket Fan USA.
There you go. So you can go look at all those different platforms to find out more about the wild cards and more of these domestic picks as they continue to roll in.
Right.
But as it currently stands, I think it's the Dallas Mustangs that take the Central.
Mustangs in the Central, and I think we both I agreed with myself that East Bay.
Well, see, I want to go against you, Nate. I think Silicon Valley takes this one.
It's tough to pick against them. They made the finals weekend 2 straight times.
And I get that Unmukt Chand is going to be the big question, right? How do you?
I think they're still incredible.
They're still incredible, and I think for East Bay, I still have the same kind of questions as I did last year. Is Carmi LaRue, is he going to be there the whole year? Is Rusty Theran coming off of a major league season? What's he going to be like? Brody Couch coming off of a major league. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be key for them.
Sure.
But I think the batting depth is also another question when you talk about David White's going to be there.
Right.
Who's opening with David White? And then, Angelo Pereira is going to probably come in that 1 to 2 spot.
Sure.
And then you have Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Beyond that, where is that batting depth coming from? I think that's another question for me as well.
Sure. And it's fair to point out that not every conference sends a team to finals weekend.
Yeah.
So we could have a situation where 2 Central teams make finals weekend. Like we've had the last 2 years, 2 West teams make finals weekend. That could flip this year with the amount of talent that's gone to the Central.
Absolutely.
So we might get to a point where East Bay or Golden State or Silicon Valley aren't here, depending on how strong those central teams are. And it could very well see 2 Texas teams in finals weekend. I personally think we'll see Dallas, and we'll also see East Bay on finals weekend here. Dallas Mustangs, I should say. and then we'll also see Atlanta Fire and also New Jersey Stallions here. And it'll be the only newcomer will be East Bay Blazers, if that comes to fruition. Now, obviously, I'm just prognosticating now, and I'm not ever right. So you shouldn't be happy that I picked your team, by the way. You should not be happy
about.
Yeah, you shouldn't be happy about this. Right, not at all. Because I think did I pick them last year?
Yeah, you did.
I did.
And Obis had the same question I did about, just where's the depth and things coming. So I think,
sure.
Again, I think it's wide open. I think that's the beauty of it. I don't think there's a clear, so we can sit here and say, New Jersey Stallions look the best on paper, but last season, the Somerset Cavaliers get off to a different start than they did.
Different.
They could have been very much in the same boat
Same with
as
Philadelphians.
Same with the Philadelphians.
They had a rough patch there for a bit.
So absolutely, if there's just a couple of things that go, that's the beauty of T20 cricket. Just a couple of balls this way, a couple of runs go in this direction, a couple wickets fall here. It's a whole new landscape, and with all the different shifts in players, that's going to be the big thing. It's just what shift was the biggest shift to say, but. Again, I think it's safe to say that we're going to have a new champ. I think that's what would be probably everyone would say that we would. It's not going to be a repeat champion again, unless Seattle somehow pulls a masterclass out of the bag. You don't lose Harmeet Singh, Andreas Kos, Akhilesh Bhagadam, and just Shubham Ranjane, Funny Samadri, and find your way back. It's hard. You have to do a lot of really good work. So you're talking about Finals MVP of the whole league.
A lot of traveling up there too.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They're at the extreme of that division. So they've got a really rough road. Hey, if you're gonna head into a really rough road, head into it like they did.
Yeah,
with memories of recent glory.
Absolutely. And again, so now if you were, say the matchup was the New Jersey Stallions taking on the Atlanta Fire once again.
Yeah, that's a tough one because we don't know.
Best out of 3.
Oh, well, the best out of 3 is not finals weekend, it's the weekend before, but let's...
Not finals weekend, but...
but if they did a best of 3, I don't know. I can't pick that. It's too hard to pick because we don't know enough.
If you don't know enough,
I can't pick against New Jersey Stallions just because of their history. I think they filled a lot of their spots. I think they did a great job in this draft, and they did a great job with their team in general this year. So, I really like that team. Also, I think every team should aspire to have the kind of team that New Jersey does. They seem like a really tight group.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they seem like they get along really well. They get behind their captain very, very well. And so I think to me, that goes a long way. It obviously goes a long way to them. But they have role players and impact players right where they need them. And I think that they're one of those teams that can look at they added Bhaskar Yadram, which was what they were missing.
Yeah, they were missing that bat in the middle. And so Nate, we've talked about the teams and the players all day long, but what we haven't talked about a lot of is this beautiful venue we're sitting in. It's Church Street Park, and it's hosted the last 2 finals weekends, and now there's new construction being happening over to our left. None today because of the rain and the cloud cover, but it's exciting. We're seeing changes happening to the park. To our right, I think we're seeing the startup of bleachers being set up. We're seeing cement being laid down over to the left, and new stairs being added on the hill.
Yeah.
It's exciting times here at Church Street Park.
Oh, it's really exciting. The stairs on the hill. I mean, man, they did take a little bit away from the hill, but you need safety. You got to be able to go up and down the hill when it's raining. But so we're going to have these the grandstands out here erected and permanently, and we're going to have a broadcast infrastructure put in, which is what I'm really excited about. And I think this ground should very quickly become an ODI ground. And this is one of the benefits of having this partnership, because this, we've always been told here that, this would be a great place for T20 for USA cricket games. Yes, but you can't host a one-day game unless you check off all the lists, like Saki Muhammad did down there with Musa with his diligence and with his hard work and with his own money. And so we are going to have that here. We're going to have the chance to have a ODI ground here, and USA, as I said, USA doesn't play T20 outside of ICC events. And how many ICC events are we going to host? So our chance to get cricket here in Morrisville is by updating the ground like it's being updated to, checking off all those boxes on the ODI list, and that's what this USA Major League Minor League partnership does. It accomplishes that for this community, which fully deserves it. If there's any community in the country that deserves it, it's this one, and that's because I live here.
Well,
just kidding.
You might live here, Dave, but the folks living back in California are going to see this as your Northern California sides, and again, some big player transfers. Unmukchan, Lahiru Malanta going to the Silicon Valley Strikers as Unmukchan leaves, and Andreas House going from the Seattle Thunderbolts to the Dallas Mustangs. And again, you can see all of the players on your list right now. And again, what a draft for Northern California. I think you talk about Kulvinder Singh. I know you wanted to see him off the board. I think Brody Couch is another name on there.
Look at this! Look at this first round.
This first round is just star-studded.
Kulvinder Singh, Karen Chandel, and Brody Couch all in the first round. This is a beautiful first round. That's ridiculous. It's just such a good job. Such a deep pool of players in the West there. But yeah, you got Ruchir Joshi, Arch Bush, Mohawk Bush, Siddhant Senthil, and Umang Park from the Silicon Valley Strikers. That's good depth there. Golden State's got good depth with Karen Chandel, Dilpreet Billing, Rashad Azimi, and Arshdeep Singh Jammu, John Manohar Banguru, and that Brody Couch pick right there, Abhishek Paradkar, that 1-2 punch right there, that could be anybody's top end bowling. There are 25 teams in this country, 26 teams in this country, in this league that would be happy to have a 1-2 punch like that, and they got them in the draft. How about that?
Yeah, unbelievable. And this draft has been unbelievable. Thank you for all of us, for all of you guys for joining us and viewing this year's Sunoco Minor League Cricket with official partner Laxmi 2023 Player Draft. It's been a fun night, and we can't wait for the season to start on August 5th. And for more updates about the season, teams, players, and the draft in general, follow Minor League Cricket on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also subscribe to MLC Network on YouTube. Thank you so much for everyone watching, and for myself, for Nate Hayes, for Utkar Srivastava, for Anshrai, for Dane Pete, for Babarbai, who's been behind making this whole production happen, for Z, who's been getting everything together, Emily, thank you guys all so much. We're signing off. Thank you guys for joining us.
Zubin too.